Hello there, welcome to my channel. If you are new, please consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful. If you do that, thanks. Back to the Beginning by Lionheart555. Naruto and Sasuke are killed, and the Kyuubi takes them to the past to relive their lives, to perhaps change their fate. I don't own anything. Now let's get started.
As the three Sangenin and Naruto's group parted, Sakura suddenly turned around. Wait. Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro stopped and turned their heads to regard Sakura. Sasuke and Naruto watched Sakura cautiously, wondering what she was going to do. I know Sasuke already mentioned this, you guys are from the village hidden in the sand. And I also know that the land of fire and the land of wind are allies, but it is a stated law that no shinobi may enter another's village without that village's permission. So what are you doing here?
Temari and Kankuro stared at each other, while Gaara continued to look bored out of his mind. You really, don't have a clue what's going on, do you? And you actually live here, stated Temari, making Sakura twitch uncontrollably.
Oh, I think Sakura's getting mad, thought Naruto. But, I'll tell you anyway, continued Temari, pulling out a paper. The Leaf Ninja all noticed that it was a document stating, 1. Temari was granted permission into the village. This document, began Temari, waving the paper, states we have permission to be here. And the reason, we've come all this way for the Chunin exams. Sakura's anger vanished as confusion replaced it. What? She turned to Sasuke and Naruto, the Chunin exams are starting. Naruto and Sasuke nodded. Yeah, sorry we forgot to tell you, Sakura, hehe. Sakura twitched. I'm going to remember this, she thought while her eyes turned to daggers. Hey, boss, interrupted Konohamaru, those exams, aren't they ones Genin take so that they can become Chunin? Yeah, that's right, and this year, our whole team is going to make it. Kankuro laughed. Give me a break, you guys are all rookies. You're no match for us. Shut it, Kankuro, we must not underestimate the Leaf Ninja, said Gaara, speaking for the first time since he had first turned back. Kankuro's face darkened. Oh, let's go, said Gaara, we'll meet again, Leaf Genin, he spoke, mysteriously. Before he turned he once again gave a stare to Naruto. Naruto grinned in response, but Gaara turned away, without another gesture or word.
Meanwhile, hidden in the branches of a nearby tree, Dosu, Kin, and Zaku stared down at the exchange. Dosu, began Kin, smiling sadistically. What do you think of them? Dosu shrugged. The usual weak rats. But the guy from the Uchiha clan, the guy in orange. There's something not quite right about them. Did you see the attack the blonde used? Yes, there is something not quite right about that one. We'll have to watch them carefully. Dosu and Kin vanished, while Zaku took one last look. HMPH, looks weak to me, he mumbled before vanishing. Meanwhile below, Naruto and Sasuke turned to look at the branch the three sound ninja had been standing on. Well, if I had to guess I'd say they were talking about us. Checking us out or something. Sasuke twitched. Naruto, that sounded gay. Is there something that we don't know? Kit, taunted Kyuubi, chuckling. Naruto's face darkened, as he turned away with a huff. Meanwhile the group of Junins and Chunins stood around Sarutobi, waiting for him to begin the meeting. Alright then, it is time we choose our candidates for the Chunin examinations. To begin, will those in charge of the rookie squads step forward? Kakashi, Kuranai, and Asuma. The said three simultaneously stepped forward ahead of the group and lined up in a line. Hokage-sama, they all bowed. Sarutobi nodded. What do you say? Are there any in your squads you'd recommend? Any you think who are ready for the exams despite their experience? As you know, any genin who has completed 8 or more missions is technically eligible for the examinations. Beyond that, only you can decide when they are ready. Most of the Junins in the background all nodded to each other. They didn't expect any recommendations. However, continued Sarutobi, despite the minimum of only 8 missions, most genin require more, possibly double the missions before they're ready. Iruka inwardly shook his head. There's no need to say all of this. None of those squads are ready for the exams, they're just too young. So Kakashi, you begin. Kakashi lifted 2 fingers as if ready to perform a jutsu. I lead Squad 7. Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto Uzumaki, and Sakura Haruno. Kakashi Hitaki recommend all 3 for the Chunin selection exams. Iruka stared and gasped. What? No way. Sarutobi nodded, and then turned to Kuranai. And my squad is Squad 8. Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame. And now I, Kuranai Yuhi recommend all 3. Sarutobi turned to face Asuma, who followed his fellow Junin in lifting 2 fingers. And my squad is number 10. Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akamichi. And now I, Asuma Sarutobi, recommend all 3. From the background, the many Junin and Chunin talked about the recent developments. What, all these rookies? All of them? Are they ready? Were some of the whispers. Iruka stepped forward. Hold on just a minute, Kakashi, Kuranai, and Asuma turned to see Iruka, wondering why he would possible object. Sarutobi turned to Iruka. Yes, Iruka, what is it? Iruka cleared his throat. Lord Hokage. With all respect, the 9 names that were just given, they were all in my class at the academy. I know their skills and abilities. Every one of them has great prowess, but it is too soon, they need more experience before they are tested. If they try now, they are sure to fail the exam. Kakashi sighed. Iruka, when I became a chunin, I was 6 years younger than Naruto is now. Iruka nearly shouted, Naruto is nothing like you. Are you trying to destroy him? Kakashi shrugged. Well, they are always complaining about not being challenged enough. Maybe wiping out on the exams will teach them a lesson. A little pain is good. Iruka couldn't believe what he just heard. What? What did you just say? Oh, nothing fatal of course. But seriously Iruka, relax. Listen, I understand how you feel, it's very personal for you, and it upsets you, but Kurenai interrupted him. Alright, Kakashi, you've said enough. Back off. Kakashi shook his head. On the contrary, Kurenai. Iruka needs to hear this. He needs to understand that they are no longer his students, they are soldiers. Iruka began to shake uncontrollably. He knew Kakashi was right. Thought Asuma, sweat dropping, enough already. But protested Iruka, trying to find some way to stop Kakashi's recommendations. These exams can destroy them, you know that. That's enough Iruka, interrupted Sarutobi. Iruka broke his speech and bowed his head. Yes, Lord Hokage. You have made your point, Iruka, said the Hokage, I understand, and I've decided the best thing to do is to give a preliminary test. Iruka's eyes narrowed. A preliminary Hokage-sama? The next morning at the 6 arch gates, Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura stood around, tapping their feet. They were waiting for Kakashi to arrive. Arg! He told us to get up so early, shouted Sakura. Why, it's always the same. He sets the time, and we have to wait hours for him. Naruto nodded. It's not fair. Sakura grabbed Naruto's collar and began shaking him. Well, what about my feelings? I had to get up so early I didn't even get to blow dry my hair. As she let go of Naruto, he rubbed his neck, nervously. Well, Sakura, I didn't even get to brush my teeth or change my underwear. Sakura froze and slowly began to twitch. You didn't? She asked slowly. That's gross, Naruto. Sasuke sighed, while Kyuubi's sweat dropped. First thing in the morning, they thought, and he's already screwing off. Kakashi suddenly appeared. Hi, Sakura and Naruto angrily turned to Kakashi. Kakashi saw their looks and chuckled. Oh, sorry I'm late. I'm afraid I got lost on the road of life. Liar, shouted Sakura and Naruto simultaneously. Kakashi walked forward and pulled out 3 documents. I know this is a bit sudden, but I recommended you for the Chunin exams. All 3 of you. He handed out the 3 documents to Naruto. Sase are the application forms. Sakura appeared confused. Application forms? You're repeating me, Sakura, said Kakashi. This is all voluntary. It is up to each of you. If you don't feel you are ready you can always wait until next year. Naruto and Sasuke nodded towards each other. Alright, Chunin exams. Can't wait till we're not Ikkel Genin anymore. Sasuke sighed. Right. Brat, Chunin is nothing. You set your sights so low. You should be thinking about anbu or sanin quality work, not Chunin, lectured Kyuubi. Naruto's sweat dropped. Slave driver, he mumbled. Anyway, continued Kakashi, if you want to register for the exams, just sign the application and report to room 301 at the academy, 3 days from now. That's all. Haha, yelled Naruto, as he jumped onto Kakashi's back. Kakashi-sensei, you rock. Protested Kakashi, don't slobber on my vest, he commanded, knocking Naruto off. Later Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura began walking home, each in their own thoughts about the exams. This time, Orochimaru, thought Sasuke, you're going to meet your match. I hope you're there, because I'm dying to see you. On another side of town, Naruto fiercely ran around the training grounds, maxing out with 3,000-pound weights on. He was getting dead tired. Must train and beat Teme. Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udon interrupted him, as they leapt in front. Surprised, Naruto fell down, feeling like a dead weight. What do you guys want? Boss, yelled Konohamaru, play ninja with us. Naruto sighed as he removed 75 of his weights. Alright, fine. Naruto leapt up to a branch. Almost simultaneously a mysterious ninja appeared behind Moegi. Haha, got you. Naruto's eyes widened as the ninja began to run away. Moegi, shouted Konohamaru. Naruto leapt up into the woods after the rain ninja. Let her go. The rain ninja turned back as he leapt away. I see, so you can keep up with me at this speed. Well, I'll just turn this up a notch. Naruto continued chasing, but the rain ninja soon vanished. He sighed, looks like I'm going to have to do this the hard way. Meanwhile, Sakura sat on her roof thinking about the Chunin exams. The Chunin exams, I'm soon not ready for it. I can't keep up with Sasuke. Hell, I can't even beat Naruto. But if I don't go, Naruto and Sasuke will be so disappointed, and that's not good, is it? Hey, Sakura, interrupted a voice. Sakura recognized it immediately. Sasuke, she yelled. Hey, let's go for a walk, just you and me. Warning bells rang in Sakura's head, but she didn't change her facial expression and nodded. You mean it? Yeah, come on, let's go. Sakura didn't waste another moment and leapt down. Deep in the woods, the rain ninja easily tied Moegi to a tree, despite the kunoichi's pathetic efforts to get free. HMPH, exclaimed the ninja. Once Moegi was securely fastened, I thought the leaf genin would do tough, but now I see you guys are just a bunch of weaklings. A noise behind him caused the rain ninja to turn quickly. That was quick. Naruto stood up and pointed. Hey, what do you think you're doing to Moegi? Let her go. The rain ninja laughed. What am I doing, you ask? Is that seriously your question? Naruto narrowed his eyes. You had better let Moegi go, or you're about to experience a world of pain. The rain ninja laughed. Oh ho, you're really going to do something? Well, what if? The ninja held a kunai to Moegi's neck. Does this change your mind? Naruto didn't reply, merely glared. The rain ninja took his silence a cowardly decision. Huh? I knew it, weak. Well, I've decided to go easy on you. I was going to kill the girl, but if you bring me, say the first Hokage's scroll of sealing, then, I'll let you off the hook. Hey, who do you think you're dealing with? Asked Naruto. Hey, what are you talking about? Stop talking and move, or do you not care what happens to this girl? To prove his point, the rain ninja pressed his kunai onto Moegi's neck. Naruto shrugged. What girl? All I see are two dummies, one created by genjutsu, and the other a log I used as a replacement jutsu. What? The rain ninja whirled around to see that indeed his catch was a log. When he turned, the Naruto standing in front of him disappeared with a poof. The rain ninja looked up, where Naruto stood with Moegi. The former looked pissed, while the latter was staring with glowing eyes. Naruto, you're my hero. You're okay now, Moegi, so I'm going to deal with this punk, even if you were an illusion. Maybe whoever created you will get a message. From close by, the ninja watched horrified as Naruto literally tore the rain genin to shreds, before watching it vanish. He was even more surprised when a kunai landed near him. Naruto threw it, after sighing very loudly. Attached to it was a note. Iruka gulped as he opened it. The writer had written, "You don't have to worry about me, sensei." Iruka twitched and a tear dropped. Sorry, Naruto. He vanished to go and test his next victim. Sakura, Sasuke and Sakura walked towards the training grounds slowly. The latter walked slowly in behind the former. Sasuke called out Sakura, finally, coming to a stop. Sasuke turned. Huh? Why did you suddenly take me out for a walk? I mean, you usually just ignore me, and yeah. Cause I need to tell you, Sakura, to give up on the Chunin exams. Sakura twitched. I knew it, Sakura, you must quit, implored Sasuke. These ninja are very advanced and merciless. In these exams I've heard, you can die. Sakura smiled. But Sasuke, telling me all this, warning me, does that mean you care about me? Sasuke blushed. Well yeah, I guess. Haha, interrupted a voice. Romance, how touching. Get lost, threatened, Sasuke, unless you want to die. The rain ninja laughed. Huh? Talk is cheap. Let's see you back up those words. The ninja leapt up and flung 3 shuriken. Sasuke easily blocked them with a kunai. Great, now I'm pissed, shouted Sasuke as he began running. The rain ninja threw a kunai, stopping Sasuke. Too easy, shouted the leaf genin, who countered with his own kunai. Be careful, Sasuke, cheered Sakura, thought as she said it her eyes twitched. At the same time, Sasuke's kunai hit the rain genin's kunai. Unfortunately, the latter split into hundreds of kunai, surprising Sasuke. What? He was too late to move as the kunai slammed into him. Sakura gasped when she saw the result. Sasuke? Sasuke. She ran over and after examining the body began to fake sobbing uncontrollably. Haha, he's finished, shouted the rain ninja, and, if you enter the Chunin exams, the same is going to happen to you. Why don't you quit now, haha? Sakura stood up, which surprised the rain ninja. He was slightly worried after seeing her smile. Sakura shook her head. You really thought I was going to fall for that? What? Sakura laughed. Sasuke inviting me out, and suddenly acting like he's worried about me, as if that would ever happen. But that's besides the point. You must have been pretty stupid to think I would fall for that. The rain ninja growled menacingly. Are you calling me a fool? I would, scoffed Sakura, if you were here, that is. But the real one ran away like a coward, so I can't. You're just the illusion of a coward. The rain ninja laughed. Are you sure? He taunted. Let's see. Sakura bravely stood her ground as the rain ninja flung his umbrella. To her expectation, Sakura watched the umbrella go right through. The rain ninja frowned. Well, I suppose this is to be expected from a kunoichi trained by the copy ninja. But the Chunin exams are of a whole different league. We'll see if you can cut it. He vanished, leaving Sakura to raise a fist. Bring it on. The Chunin exams. I'm not scared at all. Well, thought Sakura as an afterthought. Actually, I'm really worried about the exams. Meanwhile, the same ninja ambushed Sasuke while he trained in the woods. You better leave Iruka, or at least cut the disguise crap. I don't know what the meaning of this is, but I'm busy, SNTLY. The rain ninja laughed, haha, what makes you think I'm who'd you say, Iruka? Sasuke snarled in response before vanishing and appearing behind a person, identical to the rain ninja who was still in the clearing, behind a tree. He did some hand signs and jabbed the ninja in the neck. Immediately the rain ninja disappeared in a poof and was replaced by Iruka, who looked up at an annoyed Sasuke. What were you trying to do? Asked Sasuke, to a bewildered Iruka. Iruka stuttered for a few moments trying to find the right words. Sasuke, don't worry about it. It was just a pre-test to see if you were fit to enter the exams. When Sasuke stared, Iruka shrugged and said, orders. Sasuke growled, arg, Kakashi, what are you playing at? He then disappeared, leaving Iruka, who had an arm raised, wait. Later that night on a rooftop, Kakashi gazed off at the moon, trying to be patient. He had waited at the exact spot for 5 minutes already. He wasn't used to having to wait on others. Thought, Kakashi, here he is. The rain ninja, Iruka, that Team 7 had encountered before materialized behind Kakashi. So, how did it go? They all made it, your squad and the others. All 9 genin proved themselves ready for the exams. The rain ninja suddenly was clouded in smoke. When it cleared, Iruka stood in the ninja's place. He looked incredulous and slightly happy at the same time. You were right, Kakashi, said Iruka, they're good. They've all developed incredible skills, especially Naruto and Sasuke. They weren't fooled for a moment and they displayed incredible power. Actually, I wasn't sure if it was them for a moment until they called me out, saw right through my disguise. Well, that's Naruto and Sasuke for you, replied Kakashi. Yes, they are strong, and they both work hard, said Iruka, but the Chunin exams can break anybody, and we'll see if they can tough it out. Kakashi smiled, you don't have to worry there, Iruka. Elsewhere Team Guy's 3 leaf genin stood in a clearing. The 2 boys, Neji Hyuga and Rock Lee stood underneath straw dummies, while the girl Tenten threw kunai with pinpoint accuracy, aiming for each vital spot. Did you know, apparently 9 rookies are going to be entering in the exams this year, said Lee, first-year genin. Neji's mouth formed into a slight frown as he processed this information, while Tenten began tiling kunais in the palm of her hand. No way, she said, unbelievingly, if anything, I bet it's just some Junin trying to boost their egos. Lee shook his head, no, there's more. According to the rumors, 3 of them are from Kakashi's team. And they say one of those 3 is the sole survivor from the Uchiha clan. Neji's ears perked at the name, really now? How interesting, he said, smiling. Not very, said Tenten, flinging a kunai. Neji nodded his head, well, true, either way, too bad for them. The 3 genin smiled, and melted away into the forest that surrounded them. Next morning Sasuke and Naruto stood outside the academy, as Sakura walked up. Hey, greeted Naruto, what's up Sakura? You're late today. Sakura shrugged, yeah, right, sorry guys. I just woke up a little late. Sakura turned towards Sasuke, who was looking towards the academy. She could see that he wasn't looking over there to avoid looking at her. Good morning, Sasuke, she said, a little coldly. Sasuke turned to regard her, hey, he greeted. Inwardly he frowned, what's up with her? She's different. Having girl problems, asked Kyuubi. None of your business, replied Sasuke. Let's go, said Naruto, pumping a fist. Sasuke and Sakura nodded and followed him into the academy and towards the flight of stairs. As they walked onto the 3rd floor, Sasuke and Naruto immediately spotted Rock Lee. He had just been kicked in the face by what looked like 2 other leaf genin. Tenten went to back her teammate up, took a slap to the face. Geez, said one of the boys, you want to pass the exams, but you can't even get by us. Pathetic, you 2 should go home. Oh wait, I think I hear your mommy calling. Sakura gaped and Naruto felt her gathered chakra into her palm. Although she didn't say it, Naruto could see the fury in her eyes. He and Sasuke pointedly stepped back. Hey, Sasuke, what's up with fuzzy brows? He doesn't usually let himself get punched like that, said Naruto. He's probably just making it look like he's bad. But since we're here, why don't we show those 2 Chunin over there what a couple of real leaf genin can do? Naruto appeared confused. Chunin, where? Look in front of you, brat, replied Kyuubi, first. For 5 full seconds, Naruto stared at the 2 boys guarding the room to 201. Oh, thought Naruto after a while. Sasuke shook his head, and walked forward. Come on Dobi, he whispered. Sakura and Naruto followed, with the former glaring daggers at the 2 boys, who just noticed their presence. Oh look, another girl, said one of the boys. Maybe she's a bit tougher than this one on the floor, he said, referring to Tenten. Sakura grew red, but Naruto held her back before she could do anything. Sasuke, instead, walked up. Why don't you stop messing around and drop the crappy genjutsu illusion? Everyone here, that is anybody worth being called a leaf shinobi, Must know that we're on the second floor. As whispers went around the hall, mostly about people wondering if Sasuke was delusional, Neji, Tenten, and Lee exchanged a glance. So, you saw through our genjutsu, said one of the boys. Well, let's see how well you do against taijutsu. Sasuke braced himself, but he noticed a pink blur rushed past him. At the same time, he noticed Lee rush forward. A split second later, a giant hole in the wall could be seen from Sakura's punch. Lee had caught her kick after it just missed his head, and the genin was sitting on his behind. Meanwhile, the two boys had vanished and everyone else was staring at it, terrified. Whoa, look at that power, she's so strong, cried most. Lee stood up and brushed himself off, as Neji and Tenten came closer. Lee, what was that? I thought we were supposed to keep a low profile, not show off our strengths. Lee didn't reply, only stared at Sakura, who was starting to feel the chills. Naruto was trying to suppress his laughter, and Sasuke was feeling annoyed. Lee suddenly coughed and walked up to Sakura. He pointed while blushing. You're Sakura Haruno, are you not? Sakura blinked. Yeah. Lee gave a thumbs up and gave his trademark smile. A.N. Gotta love those teeth, bling bling. Will you be my girlfriend? Sakura's mouth dropped. Definitely not, she whimpered. Lee's face dropped. Why not? Sakura stared horrified at his hair. 'Cause you're weird. Lee's head sunk lower, rejected again. Hey, you, interrupted Neji. Sasuke and Naruto turned. What's your name? Neji asked Sasuke. Why don't you tell me yours first, it's common courtesy. Neji Hyuga. Neji eyes narrowed. How do you know my name? Sasuke shrugged. Just do. Anyway, I'm Sasuke Uchiha. And this is Naruto Uzumaki and Sakura Haruno, future Chunins of Konoha. Naruto scowled. Damn Teme, showing off. Neji laughed. We'll see about that, rookie. But I look forward to taking you out Uchiha, said Neji, walking away. Sasuke shrugged. Look forward did. He then turned and began heading upstairs, with Sakura and Naruto in follow. Back on the second floor, Lee stared at them. Lee called Tenten, let's go. Lee shook his head. No, you guys go on without me. I want to check something. I'll be back. Lee vanished. Neji and Tenten watched their enthused teammate disappear. I wonder what he's up to, asked Tenten. I have no idea, said Neji, shrugging it off, but Lee can take care of himself. Let's go. Tenten nodded. Right, she said, enthusiastically. Meanwhile, Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke calmly walked through a doorway that took them into a hallway. Straight across from that position was the doorway that would lead to room 301. As they crossed the hall, Naruto and Sasuke suddenly stopped. Noticing them, Sakura stopped, confused. What? Both boys nodded upwards towards a balcony, where Sakura immediately recognized Lee in his green jumpsuit and with his bowl haircut. She sweat dropped, gulped and stepped backwards, trying to get as far away as possible. Fortunately for her, Lee took no notice of her. His face was serious and set on Sasuke. He didn't even show his blinding smile. Hey you, with the attitude, challenged Lee, wait up a minute. Naruto twitched while Sasuke sighed. What do you want? Without hesitation Lee replied, I want to fight, right here and right now. Sasuke inclined his head, thoughtfully. You want to fight me right here and right now huh? Lee nodded, and jumped down. Yes. Sasuke nodded to himself, trying to decide whether he should accept the challenge or decline. Lee, meanwhile, began to speak again. Pointing to himself he said, I'm Rock Lee. You said, earlier that a challenger should give his own name first as common courtesy right? Sasuke Uchiha? Sasuke inclined his again, yes, I did say that. And you know my name, great. Lee got into a fighting stance, saying, I challenge you then. Everyone is always talking about the Uchiha clan and how great they are. I want to see if it is true. I figure you will be a good test for me. Lee then turned towards Sakura. And also, Sakura gulped and her mouth dropped. Sakura, I love you, shouted Lee, blushing. Sakura jumped up, screaming, ah, those eyebrows can't be real. She suddenly began to uncontrollably shake. Your hair is so weird, and you eyebrows are so bushy. You're such a weirdo. Meanwhile Naruto and Sasuke exchanged an embarrassed glance. Lee did not seem to register what Sakura said, as he replied, Sakura, you are an angel sent from heaven. Lee formed a heart out of red paper and blew it towards Sakura. The kunoichi stared at it horrifyingly, as if it were a monster reaching out to grab her. At the last second she ducked, letting the paper heart land onto a pillar. Hey, watch it, shouted Sakura, shaking a fist. Keep your valentines to yourself. I was dodging for my life back there. Lee's face fell. You do not have to be so negative Sakura. But anyway, Sasuke, I challenge you. Sasuke smirked, so, you've heard of the Uchiha clan and yet you're going to directly challenge me. Well then, you must have some skill. I'm interested in finding out what you can do. Either that or you're more psycho than you look. Alright, let's do this. Bring it on, and don't go easy on me. I am known as the #1 leaf genin here, replied Lee. Excellent, thought Lee. A matchup with the #1 rookie. I will draw him out and make him reveal his techniques. Then I will defeat you. Gai-sensei will be so proud. Sasuke got into a ready position when Naruto's voice broke into his head. Hold on, Teme. Let me fight him first. You already got to fight Gaara, so I want to fight bushy brows. Come on, let me do it. Sasuke inwardly sighed. Fine, whatever. Just don't hurt the poor guy. Sasuke stood up, surprising Lee. I'm sorry, but I seem to have forgotten something. Usually, since the Uchiha clan is so prestigious, we usually do not fight strangers. There is one law between our clan. To challenge us you must be worthy enough, under our eyes to do so. So, before you fight me, fight Naruto. He will give you as much of a challenge as I can. Sakura gaped at Sasuke. Wow. Sasuke just turned down a request. He's so cool. Ah, said Kyuubi, finally, we have a leader on this weak, pathetic team. Lee turned his attention towards Naruto. I do not wish to fight you. Please Sasuke Uchiha, make an exception for me. I guarantee I will not waste your time. Sasuke shook his head. It's Naruto or nothing. Lee grimaced, but Naruto stepped up. Sorry, but me and Sasuke always do it this way. You only get to fight Teme over there if you beat me. And that's not going to happen. Sakura-chan, watch. I'll make this guy beg for mercy within 2 minutes. Sakura twitched. Naruto, you idiot. Naruto began charging at Lee, who immediately turned his attention to him. Fine, but mark my words, none of you are going to defeat me, the green-clad genin replied. HN, you're going to regret saying that after I'm done with you. Take this. Naruto leapt up and threw out a hard right punch. Lee ducked and shouted, Konoha reppu. Lee ducked and swept with his leg, expecting to hit Naruto and send him into a wall. To his surprise, the orange ninja vanished in midair. Lee immediately turned and blocked a sharp sidekick. Naruto had gotten around him. Lee bent low and turned, shouting, Konoha Daizenpu. He did a high roundhouse kick, which Naruto easily ducked under. He then quickly followed with a low roundhouse, which Naruto promptly jumped over. While he was in midair, Lee grinned, got you. He threw out a swift jab, but Naruto vanished. The next thing Lee felt was a sharp punch to his back. The impact made Lee fly forward about 20 feet, landing in front of Sasuke. Sasuke snorted as he stared down at Lee, so, I guess all that macho talk about being #1 was a joke. If you can't even touch Naruto, you'll never touch me. Naruto is one of the best around, but I'm even better than him. Sakura stuck her tongue out at Lee, while at the same time giving Sasuke the thumbs up. Lee wiped blood from his face and turned his back on Sasuke. He now concentrated all his attention on Naruto, who had 2 fingers up. Incredible, thought Lee, so Kakashi's training is legendary after all. Perhaps it was a mistake to underestimate this guy. Do not worry Uchiha, I am going to defeat him so he can fight. Lee turned his focus back to Naruto, and got into a stance. His taijutsu skill and his speed are incredible. He moved himself in midair by using the wind from my technique then, while still in midair, developed enough strength to knock me back such a distance. Gai-sensei, I'm sorry, I know it is forbidden, but I may have to use that technique. Come on bushy brows, you can do better than that, taunted Naruto. Lee suddenly vanished and appeared in front of Naruto. Konoha senpu. Lee ducked low and kicked upwards, but to his dismay, Naruto blocked the technique with a kick jam, and then countered with Konoha reppu. Crouching low, Naruto swept with his left foot, underneath Lee's raised leg, for his back leg, and knocked the genin onto his back. Lee skidded along the floor, finally stopping some 30 feet away. Ah, moaned Lee, as he stood up, how? Did he somehow copy my technique? Just by seeing it one time. There is no way, he should not be able to keep up with my speed, and yet that does not seem to be difficult for him. He may even be faster than me. Can it be that I was mistaken about Sasuke Uchiha? I may not be able to defeat him this way. I'm sorry Gai-sensei, but here goes, I have to break the sacred rule. Lee began to unwrap the bandages on his arm, slightly. Sasuke, who had his arms crossed, suddenly straightened and widened his eyes. No way, Lee, you can't do that here. Naruto frowned and gulped. Is he going to, brat? If he uses his reverse lotus junk you're going to have to use my power. Be thankful you're fighting and Sasuke isn't. I have a bad feeling about this. Naruto grimaced. I know Kyuubi. I just hope it doesn't come to that. Naruto-kun, I'm sorry earlier, and I take back what I said. You are truly a great fighter. Lee suddenly began charging, his bandages trailing behind him. He's coming, thought Naruto, who instantly placed his palms together, with his facial expression. Sakura noticed Naruto and Sasuke's sudden seriousness and wondered if they knew something she didn't. She was surprised when Naruto began doing some hand signs unfamiliar to her. She was sure they were not taught at the academy. Yo, FWUP. Naruto was interrupted as a small kunai planted itself directly between Lee and Naruto. Sasuke, Naruto, and Lee inwardly groaned, while Sakura gaped at an ugly red turtle that had appeared out of nowhere. She was surprised when it spoke. Halt, that's enough, Lee. Sakura gaped when she heard the turtle talk. What? It talks, shouted inner Sakura. Naruto dropped his arms as he shared a look with Sasuke. He used Shunshin and reappeared next to his teammates.
Naruto, are you okay? Asked Sakura. You gave Lee quite a beating, but near the end you suddenly got all serious like. Naruto laughed, rubbing his head. Yeah, I did, but it wasn't anything really big. I was really hard pressed to keep up with him, that's why. And then he suddenly got serious and unwrapped those bandages, so I thought it might be something to worry about. Sakura stared surprised at Naruto. For once he was being modest. She could tell he was hiding something though.
Meanwhile, Lee wrapped his bandages and knelt in front of the turtle. Why you saw? He asked. The turtle nodded. Lee, you know the rules? That move is absolutely forbidden. You could have seriously injured him. Sakura cringed at the turtle's voice. Geez, that guy is getting chewed out by a turtle. I wonder who he is. Hey, Sasuke, what's up with that turtle? Asked Sakura. Sasuke sighed. I have no idea. Meanwhile, Lee was looking rather depressed. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, I was only trying to win. You looked as if you were about to annihilate him. Lee looked up and saw a fierce glare in the turtle's eyes. He seemed to understand some hidden message. No way, sir, I wouldn't have used the reversal move. I never meant for that. The turtle ignored Lee. You fool, he shouted, making Lee cringe. Do you think I care about your feeble excuses? Consider the repercussions of a shinobi warrior. Any shinobi, baldly giving and explaining all his secrets. Even if you had not intended for anything to happen, you still would have shown one of your most powerful techniques. Lee nodded. Why yes sir. Sorry sir. What a disgrace, losing to that clown, added the turtle. And to have boasted before you even made the challenge. I hope you are prepared for the consequences. Yes sir, mumbled Lee, dejectedly. Very well, said the turtle, he's all yours, Master Guy. Sakura watched in amazement as smoke suddenly appeared on the turtle's back. Naruto and Sasuke watched with amusement. When the smoke cleared, Guy appeared on the turtle's back, dressed in the same green jumpsuit as Lee, though with a Junin vest. He smiled, showing off his teeth, which nearly blinded Sakura. Ah, he cried, the exuberance of youth. All of you are so full of it. He's got the biggest eyebrows yet, yelled Sakura, pointing at Guy, they're almost alive. Naruto and Sasuke exchanged a look, both of them thinking, great. And that same dorky do. I've never seen anything like it, continued Sakura. Her shouting attracted Lee's attention, and he turned quickly. Hey, don't try to make fun of Master Guy. Oh shut up, bushy brows, yelled Naruto. I've had enough with all the weirdos that keep popping in here. Sasuke smacked his head. Wonderful, now Naruto has started up too. What? Yelled Lee back. He was interrupted by Guy, who shouted, Lee. Lee turned quickly to face his master. Oh, yes sir, you idiot, shouted Guy, as he punched Lee hard in the face. The genin was lifted into the air by the force of the blow, and landed some feet away. Sakura gaped, while Naruto and Sasuke exchanged another embarrassed glance. Ow, moaned Lee as he slowly lifted himself up. You, stuttered Guy. Lee suddenly broke into tears. Master, I. That's enough, Lee, said Guy, who had also broken into tears, not one more word. Master, shouted Lee, as he hugged Guy. The two embraced, while Sakura's mouth dropped. Ew, she thought. That never fails to gross me out, said Naruto to Sasuke. I can't believe we ever lost to this guy, said Sasuke. This makes me sick. Yeah, agreed Naruto. It's cause back then, you two were weak and pathetic. That's why I decided to train you this time around. Don't get pushed around by this brat. And also, don't look at it, brat. I see it too now, whined Kyuubi. To Kyuubi's annoyance, however, Naruto continued to stare at Lee and Guy. Meanwhile, Guy and Lee continued to hug each other. I understand, Lee. It's because you're young, master, cried out Lee, before Guy suddenly released him. It's alright. Lee, mistakes and youth go hand in hand. Lee continued to sob, you're too kind, master. Hee, chuckled Naruto suddenly, doesn't it give you a warm and fuzzy feeling inside? Sasuke pointedly stepped away from Naruto, while Sakura glared at him. Don't be an idiot, Naruto, they're up to something. The two green-clad ninjas suddenly stood. Alright, Lee, you're forgiven, said Guy. However, he added, raising a finger, I can't let this go unpunished. Your penalty will be to sweat after the Chunin exam selection exams. Lee saluted his master, shouting, I understand. Guy punched the air. 500 laps around Konoha. Yes sir, shouted Lee. What a dip, commented Sakura, while Sasuke remained silent. Guy suddenly turned his attention to the three rookie genin. Sakura froze, while Naruto and Sasuke gulped. Thought Guy, unless I miss my guess, those children are Kakashis. Oh, said Sakura, raising her arms in defense, he's looking right at us. By the way, said Guy, how is Master Kakashi? I'm asking you. Sasuke remained silent, while Naruto scratched his head. He's… Sakura suddenly interrupted him, shouting, "You know Kakashi-sensei." Guy seemed to smirk as he closed his eyes. Naruto and Sasuke suddenly nodded to each other, and bent their knees, slightly. "Do I know Master Kakashi?" repeated Guy, thoughtfully. He suddenly disappeared. Naruto and Sasuke disappeared along with him. Lee and Sakura eyes bulged when the three reappeared. Guy stood in the middle of the two with his arms raised, successfully blocking Naruto and Sasuke's kicks. Wondered Guy, as he released Naruto and Sasuke. Both looked disappointed. "Well, actually this is wonderful. But in all your youthfulness you two can never match my speed. Master Guy is so awesome. You cannot even hope of comparing to his greatness," shouted Lee. Guy laughed. "I see Kakashi's students are pretty good. Lee, they will prove to be a good challenge for you." "Yes sir," shouted Lee, saluting again. Guy turned his attention to Sakura, placing his hands on his hips. "Anyway, you asked if I knew Kakashi. I should say so, we're arch rivals." What? Arch rivals? Guy laughed. "The score stands 50-49. I am stronger than your teacher, Kakashi." He gave Sakura a blinding grin and winked. Sakura gasped, and sweat dropped, while Naruto and Sasuke exchanged a knowing look. "Anyway," said Guy, "you and Lee should head upstairs to the classroom. It is almost 3. You'd better hurry." "Best of luck, Lee. Later." "Yes sir," shouted Lee. Guy vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving the 4 genin to an awkward silence. Lee finished wrapping his bandages and then turned to Sasuke and Naruto. He nodded at them. "Oh yes, by the way. I was blowing smoke before. I'm really here to prove my own strength in combat. And not that we fought, I see now. You guys are more than just ordinary rookies. But I still think the strongest genin is on my team, and I'm definitely going to take him down. That's why I'm entering. And I also hope to fight you Sasuke and you Naruto again." Sasuke smirked. "Well, to be honest, I was blowing smoke off before as well. I'm not stronger than Naruto. In some sense, he's actually stronger than me. But you'll find I'm more dangerous than he is. You'll understand. Look forward to it," said Lee. "And I also wish to see our abilities, Sakura-chan." He made to blow a kiss, but Sakura cried out and ducked behind Sasuke. Lee sighed and his head sunk a little, but he suddenly leapt up towards the balcony. "I'm off to apply. Be ready for the exams. I held back on you Naruto, and I think you did too. I can't wait to see what a real fight will be like with you. Until then." Naruto and Sasuke grinned at each other, while Sakura stared at Lee's retreating form. "Whoa, he's pretty good. Next time," said Naruto, "he's going to eat some real dirt." Sasuke laughed. "Dobi, don't get too cocky." "Well then, Sakura? Naruto? Let's go?" Sakura and Naruto nodded. "Yeah, whoa," thought Sakura, "these exams are already looking tough, but I have Naruto and Sasuke on my team. And there's nothing that can get by them." Sakura raised a fist and punched small hole through a wall, startling her friends. "Yeah, printed on Chunin exams." Sasuke and Naruto exchanged a startled look, though they soon smiled. Nice, they thought. 10 minutes later, the group arrived at the door to classroom 301. Kakashi stood outside of it, with his hands in his pockets. "Glad you made it after all, Sakura. This way, you all qualify for the Chunin exams," said Kakashi, smiling. "What do you mean?" asked Sakura, frowning. "Let me explain," said Kakashi. "The way the test is set up, it can only be taken by 3-person cells." Sakura appeared confused, "But sensei, you said it was up to each of us to decide whether or not to apply." "Were you lying?" Kakashi shook his head. "I said what I had to keep Naruto and Sasuke from pressuring you into coming along. Think of it like this. Even if you had no interest in coming, or if you felt you were unready, one word, just one, from Sasuke and you would have come. You would have gone through all the motions, though your heart would not have been in it. In the Chunin exams, going through the motions is not enough. You'll see soon enough." "So, what would have happened if I hadn't shown up with them?" asked Sakura. "I would have washed them out right away," replied Kakashi. "None of you would have made it past this point without the other two. But, you all came and I'm very proud of all of you. Now get in there," said Kakashi, winking and stepping aside. Naruto smirked as he threw open the door. "Oh yay, baby. Watch out everyone, cause here we come." The 3 genin stepped in, and shut the door. Kakashi stayed on the outside, smiling. "You've all come a long way, now show them what you're made of. Prove to everyone here how wrong they are." Inside, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura stood at the doors. All heads swiveled to see who had made the ruckus. Naruto grinned back, while Sasuke stood behind him looking bored. Only Sakura appeared worried. "Gah, how many people are there? There's so many applying for the exams, and they all look tough." She was pulled out of her worries by a familiar voice. "Sasuke-kun. There you are, you cutie." To Sasuke's dismay, Ino jumped onto his back. "It's so exciting to see you after all this time." Naruto snickered, while Sasuke glared daggers at Naruto, and then at Ino. "Ino, you pig. Get your hooves off Sasuke right now, shouted Sakura, pointing. Ino smiled at Sakura, though she did not budge. Hello to you too. Sakura. Still hoping the big, mutant, ugly forehead is going to come into fashion, huh? How sweet. A vein popped in Sakura's forehead, and she stepped forward. What did you say? She was interrupted as two more genin walked forward. Oh, great, you three are here too? How troublesome, said Shikamaru. Oh, boy, so the three stooges are here, said Naruto. Stop calling us that, said Shikamaru, annoyed. Naruto shook his head and stared at Team 10. First, Shikamaru Nara, he thought. A lazy bum who does nothing but stare at clouds and complain. Whining fool, labeled Naruto, before turning his attention to Choji. Next, Choji Akamichi. A fat teme who does nothing but stuff his face and think about food. Fat bastard, labeled Naruto. He then turned his attention to Ino, and last, Ino Yamanaka. Sakura's rival, arch nemesis and a fashion freak. Fool for Sasuke. There you are, interrupted a voice. Naruto turned as three more genin approached the group. Looks like the gang's all here, said Kiba. Including you, unfortunately, said Shikamaru. Hi, greeted Hinata. Shino remained as silent as ever. Kiba ignored Shikamaru and continued talking. So, I guess this year all three rookie teams decided to apply. I wonder how far we'll all get. What do you think, Sasuke? Sasuke shrugged. Probably farther than you, Kiba, he replied. Kiba chuckled, ha. The way we trained, you'll be eating your dirt, literally. Shut up dog breath, said Naruto. You guys won't even beat me, much less Sasuke. Kiba didn't even bother to argue with Naruto. He simply laughed and waved him off. Little did he know it was a big mistake. Stupid Kiba, thought Naruto, he's wilder than me. And to think he made anbu, and carrying that mud all the time, arg. And then there's Shino and Hinata. One who is crazy bug freak, and the other a shy little brunette. Hey, interrupted a voice, how about you do everyone else here a favor and shut up? The rookie 9 turned to see a leaf ninja, with white hair, approach them. He was a lot taller and seemed to be older. Naruto and Sasuke immediately scowled, recognizing the boy as Kabuto. You guys are the three rookie squads, right? All of you are just out of the local academy, right? Well, just to let you know, this isn't a school field trip. Who the heck do you think you are? We should be asking you that, said Naruto, coldly. Kabuto eyed Naruto suspiciously for a moment, then shrugged. What are you talking about? Asked Sakura. What's wrong with us being rookies, huh? Kabuto smirked. Well, a word of advice. Open your eyes. Why? Demanded Ino. Kabuto stepped to the side. The rookie 9 immediately noticed that every single head in the room seemed to be staring at them. None of them looked happy. You know, said Kabuto, everyone is on edge. Those guys behind you. They're from Amakagore, the Hidden Rain village. Real short fuses. I would quiet down if I were you, before someone snaps and decides to beat the crap out of you. But I know how you feel. I remember my first time, thought I knew everything. Sasuke and Naruto stepped towards the back of the group, while the others listened to him intently. They were careful not to arouse suspicion from the sound spy. I say we beat the shit out of him now, said Naruto. Fool, how do you think that would look? No, you must wait for the second exam, if you can get there, lectured Kyuubi. I agree, we should wait. Besides, you know the rules, Naruto. We can't fight here, said Sasuke. Naruto grudgingly agreed, though he had a dark look in his eyes, which frightened Sasuke. Naruto, get a hold of yourself before you do something bad. So, said Sakura, while Naruto and Sasuke talked telepathically, is this your second time applying? Kabuto laughed. Nah, this is my 7th time. 4 years in a row. So you know what we're going to be up against? Asked Kiba. Kabuto inclined his head. I might. Sweet, yelled Choji. Now, where's my other bag of chips? Everyone ignored his comment. Anyway, you'd better watch out, said Kabuto. Everyone here is tough. I'm sure you've seen some of the shinobi who've come from other villages already. All of them are hand-picked elite shinobi. Most of them have had years of training as a genin. You guys are rookies, fresh out of the academy. If I were you I would withdraw, but you guys seem pretty confident. Oh well, it's up to you. Ha, said Naruto, interrupting. We are all pretty good, we're not like those other pathetic crybabies that come out of the academy. We are, the rookie 9. Kiba and Shikamaru scoffed inwardly, having already seen the extent of Naruto's power. Kabuto looked impressed. Well, you sure talk big. Naruto smirked back. Watch. Sasuke twick Howard's the crowd. All eyes centered on him. Hey all of you, you had better watch out cuz Naruto Uzumaki am gonna beat all your asses. Ha 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 ha. The rookie 9 sweat dropped, while Kabuto stared amused. My. Sakura grabbed Naruto and pulled him back. Sorry for my friend here, he's a little crazy in the head. She turned her attention to Naruto. You idiot, are you trying to make enemies with everyone in here? Too late for that, whined Shikamaru. Outside Guy and Kakashi listened. Well, your student is full of youth, Kakashi. And by the way, I take back what I said earlier about them. They are ready, Possibly more so than most teams. Kakashi smirked. I told you they were full of surprises. They'll wipe the floor with your squad. Guy laughed. Ah, Kakashi, my team's youthfulness will beat yours. My Lee is better than your Sasuke. You shall see. Kakashi yawned. I'm sorry, did you say something? Guy jumped. Ah, Kakashi, you have won this round, but I shall win the next. Inside meanwhile, the other ninja who had met Naruto all smirked. Neji and Tenten listened carefully as Lee described his battle. You were knocked back, asked Tenten, surprised. Neji shrugged. He wasn't fighting a full, nothing to worry about. However, some amount lingered in his mind. Meanwhile Gaara, Kankuro, and Temari all watched Naruto's team. Didn't we see those three some time ago? Asked Kankuro. Gaara answered in the affirmative. Kankuro turned. Huh, what is it Gaara? Watch them carefully, especially Uzumaki and Uchiha. Kankuro raised an eyebrow. Those two, they don't look like much. But Gaara is usually right about this kind of stuff. In another corner, Zaku, Dosu, and Kin were all evilly smiling. They sure talk a lot, don't they Dosu? Asked Zaku. Sure do, said Dosu. I say we get in there and show them what sound is all about, asked Kin. Dosu and Zaku nodded, but before they moved, a sudden bang resounded through the classroom. Heads turned towards the blackboard where a sudden group of men had appeared. Alright, it's about time, Teme, said Naruto, raising a fist. Sasuke nodded, yeah. Sorry to have kept you waiting, said one of the men. My name is Ibiki Morino. I'll be your proctor and chief examiner for the first part of the Chunin exam. Neji and Tenten watched their enthused teammate disappear. I wonder what he's up to, asked Tenten. I have no idea, said Neji, shrugging it off, but Lee can take care of himself. Let's go, Tenten nodded, right, she said, enthusiastically. Meanwhile, Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke calmly walked through a doorway that took them into a hallway. Straight across from that position was the doorway that would lead to room 301. As they crossed the hall, Naruto and Sasuke suddenly stopped. Noticing them, Sakura stopped, confused. What? Both boys nodded upwards towards a balcony, where Sakura immediately recognized Lee in his green jumpsuit and with his bull haircut. She sweat dropped, gulped and stepped backwards, trying to get as far away as possible. Fortunately for her, Lee took no notice of her. His face was serious and set on Sasuke. He didn't even show his blinding smile. Hey you, with the attitude, challenged Lee, wait up a minute. Naruto twitched while Sasuke sighed. What do you want? Without hesitation Lee replied, I want to fight, right here and right now. Sasuke inclined his head, thoughtfully. You want to fight me right here and right now huh? Lee nodded, and jumped down. Yes. Sasuke nodded to himself, trying to decide whether he should accept the challenge or decline. Lee, meanwhile, began to speak again. Pointing to himself he said, I'm Rock Lee. You said, earlier that a challenger should give his own name first as common courtesy, right? Sasuke Uchiha? Sasuke inclined his again, yes, I did say that. And you know my name, great. Lee got into a fighting stance, saying, I challenge you then. Everyone is always talking about the Uchiha clan and how great they are. I want to see if it is true. I figure you will be a good test for me. Lee then turned towards Sakura. And also, Sakura gulped and her mouth dropped. Sakura, I love you, shouted Lee, blushing. Sakura jumped up, screaming, ah, those eyebrows can't be real. She suddenly began to uncontrollably shake. Your hair is so weird, and you eyebrows are so bushy. You're such a weirdo. Meanwhile Naruto and Sasuke exchanged an embarrassed glance. Lee did not seem to register what Sakura said, as he replied, Sakura, you are an angel sent from heaven. Lee formed a heart out of red paper and blew it towards Sakura. The kunoichi stared at it horrifyingly, as if it were a monster reaching out to grab her. At the last second she ducked, letting the paper heart land onto a pillar. Hey, watch it, shouted Sakura, shaking a fist. Keep your valentines to yourself. I was dodging for my life back there. Lee's face fell. You do not have to be so negative Sakura. But anyway, Sasuke, I challenge you. Sasuke smirked, so, you've heard of the Uchiha clan and yet you're going to directly challenge me. Well then, you must have some skill. I'm interested in finding out what you can do. Either that or you're more psycho than you look. Alright, let's do this. Bring it on, and don't go easy on me. I am known as the number 1 Leaf Genin here, replied Lee. Excellent, thought Lee. A matchup with the number 1 rookie. I will draw him out and make him reveal his techniques. Then I will defeat you. Guy-sensei will be so proud. Sasuke got into a ready position when Naruto's voice broke into his head. Hold on, Teme. Let me fight him first. You already got to fight Gaara, so I want to fight Bushy Brows. Come on, let me do it. Sasuke inwardly sighed. Fine, whatever. Just don't hurt the poor guy. Sasuke stood up, surprising Lee. I'm sorry, but I seem to have forgotten something. Usually, since the Uchiha clan is so prestigious we usually do not fight strangers. There is one law between our clan. To challenge us you must be worthy enough, under our eyes to do so. So, before you fight me, fight Naruto. He will give you as much of a challenge as I can." Sakura gaped at Sasuke. Wow. Sasuke just turned down a request. He's so cool. "Ah," said Kyuubi, "finally, we have a leader on this weak, pathetic team." Lee turned his attention towards Naruto. "I do not wish to fight you. Please Sasuke Uchiha, make an exception for me. I guarantee I will not waste your time." Sasuke shook his head. "It's Naruto or nothing." Lee grimaced, but Naruto stepped up. "Sorry, but me and Sasuke always do it this way. You only get to fight Teme over there if you beat me. And that's not going to happen. Sakura-chan, watch, I'll make this guy beg for mercy within 2 minutes." Sakura twitched. "Naruto, you idiot." Naruto began charging at Lee, who immediately turned his attention to him. "Fine, but mark my words, none of you are going to defeat me," the green-clad genin replied. "HN, you're going to regret saying that after I'm done with you. Take this." Naruto leapt up and threw out a hard right punch. Lee ducked and shouted, "Konoha reppu." Lee ducked and swept with his leg, expecting to hit Naruto and send him into a wall. To his surprise, the orange ninja vanished in midair. Lee immediately turned and blocked a sharp sidekick. Naruto had gotten around him. Lee bent low and turned, shouting, "Konoha daisenpu." He did a high roundhouse kick, which Naruto easily ducked under. He then quickly followed with a low roundhouse, which Naruto promptly jumped over. While he was in midair, Lee grinned, "Got you." He threw out a swift jab, but Naruto vanished. The next thing Lee felt was a sharp punch to his back. The impact made Lee fly forward about 20 feet, landing in front of Sasuke. Sasuke snorted as he stared down at Lee. "So, I guess all that macho talk about being number one was a joke. If you can't even touch Naruto, you'll never touch me. Naruto is one of the best around, but I'm even better than him." Sakura stuck her tongue out at Lee, while at the same time giving Sasuke the thumbs up. Lee wiped blood from his face and turned his back on Sasuke. He now concentrated all his attention on Naruto, who had 2 fingers up. Incredible, thought Lee, so Kakashi's training is legendary after all. Perhaps it was a mistake to underestimate this guy. "Do not worry Uchiha, I am going to defeat him so he can fight." Lee turned his focus back to Naruto, and got into a stance. His taijutsu skill and his speed are incredible. He moved himself in midair by using the wind from my technique then, while still in midair, developed enough strength to knock me back such a distance. "Guy-sensei, I'm sorry, I know it is forbidden, but I may have to use that technique." "Come on bushy brows, you can do better than that," taunted Naruto. Lee suddenly vanished and appeared in front of Naruto. "Konoha senpu." Lee ducked low and kicked upwards, but to his dismay, Naruto blocked the technique with a kick jam, and then countered with Konoha reppu. Crouching low, Naruto swept with his left foot, underneath Lee's raised leg, for his back leg, and knocked the genin onto his back. Lee skidded along the floor, finally stopping some 30 feet away. Moaned Lee, as he stood up. How? Did he somehow copy my technique? Just by seeing it one time? There is no way. He should not be able to keep up with my speed, and yet that does not seem to be difficult for him. He may even be faster than me. Can it be that I was mistaken about Sasuke Uchiha? I may not be able to defeat him this way. I'm sorry guys-sensei, but here goes. I have to break the sacred rule. Lee began to unwrap the bandages on his arm, slightly. Sasuke, who had his arms crossed, suddenly straightened and widened his eyes. No way, Lee, you can't do that here. Naruto frowned and gulped. Is he going to, Brad? If he uses his reverse lotus junk you're going to have to use my power. Be thankful you're fighting and Sasuke isn't. I have a bad feeling about this. Naruto grimaced. I know Kyuubi. I just hope it doesn't come to that. Naruto-kun, I'm sorry earlier, and I take back what I said. You are truly a great fighter. Lee suddenly began charging, his bandages trailing behind him. He's coming, thought Naruto, who instantly placed his palms together, with his facial expressing. Sakura noticed Naruto and Sasuke's sudden seriousness and wondered if they knew something she didn't. She was surprised when Naruto began doing some hand signs unfamiliar to her. She was sure they were not taught at the academy. Yo, FWUP. Naruto was interrupted as a small kunai planted itself directly between Lee and Naruto. Sasuke, Naruto, and Lee inwardly groaned, while Sakura gaped at an ugly red turtle that had appeared out of nowhere. She was surprised when it spoke. Halt, that's enough Lee. Sakura gaped when she heard the turtle talk. What? It talks, shouted inner Sakura. Naruto dropped his arms as he shared a look with Sasuke. He used Shunshin and reappeared next to his teammates. Naruto, are you okay? Asked Sakura. You gave Lee quite a beating, but near the end you suddenly got all serious like. Naruto laughed, rubbing his head. Yeah, I did. But it wasn't anything really big. I was really hard pressed to keep up with him, that's why. And then he suddenly got serious and unwrapped those bandages, so I thought it might be something to worry about. Sakura stared surprised at Naruto. For once he was being modest. She could tell he was hiding something though. Meanwhile Li Ru wrapped his bandages and knelt in front of the turtle. "Why you saw?" he asked. The turtle nodded. "Li, you know the rules? That move is absolutely forbidden. You could have seriously injured him." Sakura cringed at the turtle's voice. "Geez, that guy is getting chewed out by a turtle. I wonder who he is." "Hey, Sasuke, what's up with that turtle?" asked Sakura. Sasuke sighed. "I have no idea." Meanwhile Li was looking rather depressed. "I'm sorry. Please forgive me, I was only trying to win." "You looked as if you were about to annihilate him." Li looked up and saw a fierce glare in the turtle's eyes. He seemed to understand some hidden message. No way, sir, I wouldn't have used the reversal move. I never meant for that." The turtle ignored Li. "You fool," he shouted, making Li cringe. "Do you think I care about your feeble excuses? Consider the repercussions of a shinobi warrior. Any shinobi, baldly giving and explaining all his secrets. Even if you had not intended for anything to happen, you still would have shown one of your most powerful techniques." Li nodded. "Why yes sir. Sorry sir. What a disgrace, losing to that clown," added the turtle. "And to have boasted before you even made the challenge. I hope you are prepared for the consequences." "Yes sir," mumbled Li, dejectedly. "Very well," said the turtle, "he's all yours, Master Guy." Sakura watched in amazement as smoke suddenly appeared on the turtle's back. Naruto and Sasuke watched with amusement. When the smoke cleared, Guy appeared on the turtle's back, dressed in the same green jumpsuit as Li, though with a Junin vest. He smiled, showing off his teeth, which nearly blinded Sakura. "Ah," he cried, "the exuberance of youth. All of you are so full of it." He's got the biggest eyebrows yet," yelled Sakura, pointing at Guy. "They're almost alive." Naruto and Sasuke exchanged a look, both of them thinking, "Great. And that same dorky do. I've never seen anything like it," continued Sakura. Her shouting attracted Li's attention, and he turned quickly. Hey, don't try to make fun of Master Guy." "Oh shut up, bushy brows," yelled Naruto. "I've had enough with all the weirdos that keep popping in here." Sasuke smacked his head. "Wonderful, now Naruto has started up too." "What?" yelled Li back. He was interrupted by Guy, who shouted, "Li!" Li turned quickly to face his master. "Oh, yes sir, you idiot," shouted Guy, as he punched Li hard in the face. The genin was lifted into the air by the force of the blow, and landed some feet away. Sakura gaped, while Naruto and Sasuke exchanged another embarrassed glance. "Ow," moaned Li as he slowly lifted himself up. You, stuttered Guy. Li suddenly broke into tears. "Master, I." "That's enough, Li," said Guy, who had also broken into tears. "Not one more word." "Master," shouted Li, as he hugged Guy. The two embraced, while Sakura's mouth dropped. "Ew," she thought. "That never fails to gross me out," said Naruto to Sasuke. "I can't believe we ever lost to this guy," said Sasuke. "This makes me sick." "Yeah," agreed Naruto. "It's cause back then, you two were weak and pathetic. That's why I decided to train you this time around. Don't get pushed around by this brat. And also, don't look at it, brat. I see it too now," whined Kyuubi. To Kyuubi's annoyance, however, Naruto continued to stare at Li and Guy. Meanwhile, Guy and Li continued to hug each other. "I understand, Li. It's because you're young, master," cried out Li, before Guy suddenly released him. "It's all right. Li, mistakes and youth go hand in hand." Li continued to sob. "You're too kind, master." Hee, chuckled Naruto suddenly. "Doesn't it give you a warm and fuzzy feeling inside?" Sasuke pointedly stepped away from Naruto, while Sakura glared at him. "Don't be an idiot, Naruto, they're up to something." The two green-clad ninjas suddenly stood. "All right, Li, you're forgiven," said Guy. "However," he added, raising a finger, "I can't let this go unpunished. Your penalty will be to sweat after the Chunin exam selection exams." Li saluted his master, shouting, "I understand." Guy punched the air. 500 laps around Konoha. "Yes sir," shouted Li. "What a dip," commented Sakura, while Sasuke remained silent. Guy suddenly turned his attention to the three rookie genin. Sakura froze, while Naruto and Sasuke gulped. Thought Guy, unless I miss my guess, those children are Kakashis. "Oh," said Sakura, raising her arms in defense. "He's looking right at us." "By the way," said Guy, "how is Master Kakashi?" "I'm asking you." Sasuke remained silent, while Naruto scratched his head. He's..." Sakura suddenly interrupted him, shouting, "You know Kakashi-sensei." Guy seemed to smirk as he closed his eyes. Naruto and Sasuke suddenly nodded to each other, and bent their knees, slightly. "Do I know Master Kakashi?" repeated Guy, thoughtfully. He suddenly disappeared. Naruto and Sasuke disappeared along with him. Li and Sakura's eyes bulged when the three reappeared. Guy stood in the middle of the two with his arms raised, successfully blocking Naruto and Sasuke's kicks. Wondered Guy, as he released Naruto and Sasuke. Both looked disappointed. "Well, actually this is wonderful. But in all your youthfulness you two can never match my speed. Master Guy is so awesome. You cannot even hope of comparing to his greatness, shouted Lee. Guy laughed. I see Kakashi's students are pretty good. Lee, they will prove to be a good challenge for you. Yes sir, shouted Lee, saluting again. Guy turned his attention to Sakura, placing his hands on his hips. Anyway, you asked if I knew Kakashi. I should say so, we're arch rivals. What? Arch rivals? Guy laughed. The score stands 50-49. I am stronger than your teacher, Kakashi. He gave Sakura a blinding grin and winked. Sakura gasped, and sweat dropped, while Naruto and Sasuke exchanged a knowing look. Anyway, said Guy, you and Lee should head upstairs to the classroom. It is almost 3. You'd better hurry. Best of luck, Lee. Later. Yes sir, shouted Lee. Guy vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving the 4 genin to an awkward silence. Lee finished wrapping his bandages and then turned to Sasuke and Naruto. He nodded at them. Oh yes, by the way. I was blowing smoke before. I'm really here to prove my own strength in combat. And not that we fought, I see now, you guys are more than just ordinary rookies. But I still think the strongest genin is on my team, and I'm definitely going to take him down. That's why I'm entering. And I also hope to fight you Sasuke and you Naruto again. Sasuke smirked. Well, to be honest, I was blowing smoke off before as well. I'm not stronger than Naruto. In some sense, he's actually stronger than me. But you'll find I'm more dangerous than he is. You'll understand. Look forward to it, said Lee. And I also wish to see our abilities, Sakura-chan. He made to blow a kiss, but Sakura cried out and ducked behind Sasuke. Lee sighed and his head sunk a little, but he suddenly leapt up towards the balcony. I'm off to apply. Be ready for the exams. I held back on you Naruto, and I think you did too. I can't wait to see what a real fight will be like with you. Until then. Naruto and Sasuke grinned at each other, while Sakura stared at Lee's retreating form. Whoa, he's pretty good. Next time, said Naruto, he's going to eat some real dirt. Sasuke laughed. Dobi, don't get too cocky. Well then, Sakura? Naruto? Let's go?
Sakura and Naruto nodded. Yeah. Whoa, thought Sakura, these exams are already looking tough. But I have Naruto and Sasuke on my team. And there's nothing that can get by them. Sakura raised a fist and punched small hole through a wall, startling her friends. Yeah, bring it on. Chuunin exams. Sasuke and Naruto exchanged a startled look, though they soon smiled. Nice, they thought.
10 minutes later, the group arrived at the door to classroom 301. Kakashi stood outside of it, with his hands in his pockets. Glad you made it after all, Sakura. This way, you all qualify for the Chunin exams, said Kakashi, smiling. What do you mean? Asked Sakura, frowning. Let me explain, said Kakashi. The way the test is set up, it can only be taken by 3-person cells. Sakura appeared confused, but sensei, you said it was up to each of us to decide whether or not to apply. Were you lying? Kakashi shook his head. I said what I had to keep Naruto and Sasuke from pressuring you into coming along. Think of it like this. Even if you had no interest in coming, or if you felt you were unready, one word, just one, from Sasuke and you would have come. You would have gone through all the motions, though your heart would not have been in it. In the Chunin exams, going through the motions is not enough. You'll see soon enough. So, what would have happened if I hadn't shown up with them? Asked Sakura. I would have washed them out right away, replied Kakashi. None of you would have made it past this point without the other 2. But, you all came and I'm very proud of all of you. Now get in there, said Kakashi, winking and stepping aside. Naruto smirked as he threw open the door. Oh yay, baby. Watch out everyone, cause here we come. The 3 genin stepped in, and shut the door. Kakashi stayed on the outside, smiling. You've all come a long way, now show them what you're made of. Prove to everyone here how wrong they are. Inside, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura stood at the doors. All heads swiveled to see who had made the ruckus. Naruto grinned back, while Sasuke stood behind him looking bored. Only Sakura appeared worried. Gah, how many people are there? There's so many applying for the exams, and they all look tough. She was pulled out of her worries by a familiar voice. Sasuke-kun. There you are, you cutie. To Sasuke's dismay, Ino jumped onto his back. It's so exciting to see you after all this time. Naruto snickered, while Sasuke glared daggers at Naruto, and then at Ino. Ino, you pig. Get your hooves off Sasuke right now, shouted Sakura, pointing. Ino smiled at Sakura, though she did not budge. Hello to you too. Sakura. Still hoping the big, mutant, ugly forehead is going to come into fashion, huh? How sweet. A vein popped in Sakura's forehead, and she stepped forward. What did you say? She was interrupted as 2 more genin walked forward. Oh, great, you 3 are here too? How troublesome, said Shikamaru. Oh, boy, so the 3 stooges are here, said Naruto. Stop calling us that, said Shikamaru, annoyed. Naruto shook his head and stared at Team 10. First, Shikamaru Nara, he thought. A lazy bum who does nothing but stare at clouds and complain. Whining fool, labeled Naruto, before turning his attention to Choji. Next, Choji Akamichi. A fat teme who does nothing but stuff his face and think about food. Fat bastard, labeled Naruto. He then turned his attention to Ino, and last, Ino Yamanaka. Sakura's rival, arch nemesis and a fashion freak. Fool for Sasuke. There you are, interrupted a voice. Naruto turned as 3 more genin approached the group. Looks like the gang's all here, said Kiba. Including you, unfortunately, said Shikamaru. Hi, greeted Hinata. Shino remained as silent as ever. Kiba ignored Shikamaru and continued talking. So, I guess this year all 3 rookie teams decided to apply. I wonder how far we'll all get. What do you think, Sasuke? Sasuke shrugged. Probably farther than you, Kiba, he replied. Kiba chuckled, ha. The way we trained, you'll be eating your dirt. Literally, shut up dog breath, said Naruto. You guys won't even beat me, much less Sasuke. Kiba didn't even bother to argue with Naruto. He simply laughed and waved him off. Little did he know it was a big mistake. Stupid Kiba, thought Naruto, he's wilder than me. And to think he made anbu, and carrying that mud all the time, arg. And then there's Shino and Hinata. One who is crazy bug freak, and the other a shy little brunette. Hey, interrupted a voice, how about you do everyone else here a favor and shut up? The rookie 9 turned to see a leaf ninja, with white hair approach them. He was a lot taller and seemed to be older. Naruto and Sasuke immediately scowled, recognizing the boy as Kabuto. You guys are the 3 rookie squads, right? All of you are just out of the local academy, right? Well, just to let you know this isn't a school field trip. Who the heck do you think you are? We should be asking you that, said Naruto, coldly. Kabuto eyed Naruto suspiciously for a moment then shrugged. What are you talking about? Asked Sakura. What's wrong with us being rookies, huh? Kabuto smirked. Well, a word of advice. Open your eyes. Why? Demanded Ino. Kabuto stepped to the side. The rookie 9 immediately noticed that every single head in the room seemed to be staring at them. None of them looked happy. You know, said Kabuto, everyone is on edge. Those guys behind you. They're from Amakagore, the hidden rain village. Real short fuses. I would quiet down if I were you, before someone snaps and decides to beat the crap out of you. But I know how you feel. I remember my first time, thought I knew everything. Sasuke and Naruto stepped towards the back of the group, while the others listened to him intently. They were careful not to arouse suspicion from the sound spy. I say we beat the shit out of him now, said Naruto. Fool, how do you think that would look? No, you must wait for the second exam, if you can get there, lectured Kyuubi. I agree, we should wait. Besides you know the rules, Naruto. We can't fight here, said Sasuke. Naruto grudgingly agreed, though he had a dark look in his eyes, which frightened Sasuke. Naruto, get a hold of yourself before you do something bad. So, said Sakura, while Naruto and Sasuke talked telepathically, is this your second time applying? Kabuto laughed. Nah, this is my 7th time. 4 years in a row. So you know what we're going to be up against? Asked Kiba. Kabuto inclined his head. I might. Sweet, yelled Choji. Now, where's my other bag of chips? Everyone ignored his comment. Anyway, you'd better watch out, said Kabuto, everyone here is tough. I'm sure you've seen some of the shinobi who've come from other villages already. All of them are hand-picked elite shinobi. Most of them have had years of training as a genin. You guys are rookies, fresh out of the academy. If I were you I would withdraw, but you guys seem pretty confident. Oh well, it's up to you. Ha, said Naruto, interrupting. We are all pretty good, we're not like those other pathetic crybabies that come out of the academy. We are, the, rookie 9. Kiba and Shikamaru scoffed inwardly, having already seen the extent of Naruto's power. Kabuto looked impressed. Well, you sure talk big. Naruto smirked back, watch. Sasuke twicked Howard's the crowd. All eyes centered on him. Hey all of you, you had better watch out cuz Naruto Uzumaki am gonna beat all your asses. Ha 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 ha. The rookie 9 sweat dropped, while Kabuto stared amused. My. Sakura grabbed Naruto and pulled him back. Sorry for my friend here, he's a little crazy in the head. She turned her attention to Naruto. You idiot, are you trying to make enemies with everyone in here? Too late for that, whined Shikamaru. Outside Guy and Kakashi listened. Well, your student is full of youth, Kakashi. And by the way, I take back what I said earlier about them. They are ready, possibly more so than most teams. Kakashi smirked. I told you they were full of surprises, they'll wipe the floor with your squad. Guy laughed. Kakashi, my team's youthfulness will beat yours. My Lee is better than your Sasuke. You shall see. Kakashi yawned. I'm sorry, did you say something? Guy jumped. Kakashi, you have won this round, but I shall win the next. Inside meanwhile, the other ninja who had met Naruto all smirked. Neji and Tenten listened carefully as Lee described his battle. You were knocked back, asked Tenten, surprised. Neji shrugged. He wasn't fighting a fool, nothing to worry about. However, some amount lingered in his mind. Meanwhile Gaara, Kankuro, and Temari all watched Naruto's team. Didn't we see those three some time ago? Asked Kankuro. Gaara answered in the affirmative. Kankuro turned. Huh, what is it Gaara? Watch them carefully, especially Uzumaki and Uchiha. Kankuro raised an eyebrow. Those two, they don't look like much. But Gaara is usually right about this kind of stuff. In another corner, Zaku, Dosu, and Kin were all evilly smiling. They sure talk a lot, don't they Dosu? Asked Zaku. Sure do, said Dosu. I say we get in there and show them what sound is all about, asked Kin. Dosu and Zaku nodded, but before they moved, a sudden bang resounded through the classroom. Heads turned towards the blackboard where a sudden group of men had appeared. Alright, it's about time, Teme, said Naruto, raising a fist. Sasuke nodded, yeah. Sorry to have kept you waiting, said one of the men. My name is Ibiki Morino. I'll be your proctor and chief examiner for the first part of the Chunin exam. And now, for everyone still here, Ibiki suddenly grinned. You just passed the first exam. From around the room, confused genin dropped their pencils. Naruto crossed his arms and grinned. Yeah Teme, we passed. Well, duh, you thought we wouldn't? Sakura jumped up. Hold on. What do you mean we passed the first exam? Where's the 10th question? Ibiki laughed. There was no 10th question. Well, not a written one anyway. Actually, your decision to stay was the answer to the 10th question. Sakura appeared confused. Huh? Temari suddenly jumped up. She seemed pissed. What? So, then are you saying the first 9 questions we sat through were complete waste of time? Is that what you're saying? Ibiki shook his hand swiftly. No, you misunderstand. It's quite the opposite. The first 9 questions had an important overriding purpose. It was to test your ability to surreptitiously gather strategic intelligence under the most adverse circumstances. Most of the genin drew a blank look, including Temari. Well, she said sarcastically, that clears up everything. Ibiki chuckled. Let me explain. You see, my objective was to test you not only as individuals, but also as a team. And also, on how well you functioned as a part of that team. That's why the test was scored on a team basis, so that you'd know that everything you did or failed to do would directly affect your teammates. I wanted to see how well you would handle the pressure. Oh yeah, shouted out Naruto. Me and Sasuke figured that out right away. It was easy to keep our cool. Sasuke smiled. That's only cause you knew how to get the answers Dobi, he thought. Meanwhile, Sakura snickered. What an idiot. I could see him panicking from back here. Anyway, continued Ibiki, who had a smile from Naruto's outburst, the first 9 questions on the test were difficult. In fact, as you may have realized, too difficult for most genin to be expected to solve. I imagine most of you quickly came to that conclusion. That you would have to cheat to pass the test and answer all of the questions. You see, the test was specifically designed to encourage cheating, actually it almost demanded it. Naruto, Neji, Sasuke, and many others smirked. Well, Kyuubi, I think we did alright, said Sasuke. Peefed, those so-called proctors don't know how to watch, why if I had been a proctor? Shut up, interrupted Naruto and Sasuke at the same time. Kyuubi growled, though he did not speak any further. Sakura suddenly raised her hand. Wait, you just said that most of us would be unable to solve the questions due to their difficulty. If that's it, how could you expect us to find reliable answers off one another? Ibiki inwardly smiled. She is a sharp one. Good questions, said Ibiki, nodding. It would have done you little good if you had had no one to reliably cheat off of. Therefore I snuck in 2 chunin who already had all the answers and had them sit in with you. From 2 rows, 2 older-looking ninjas stood up and waved. Around the room, many genin snickered. I knew it, shouted a couple. Yeah, it took me a while to figure out who to cheat from, but only an idiot wouldn't have known in the end. Naruto grinned. See, Hinata. This guy was sitting right in front of us and we didn't even need to cheat. Hinata shyly laughed. Why yeah. Enna Naruto-kun. And besides, said Naruto loudly, you'd have to be a complete fool to not see them. Sasuke shook his head. Dobi, if I hadn't told you who the chunin was you would have been going crazy the whole test. Peefed, who's he trying to fool, thought most of the others. So that's why you did the point deduction for cheating, right? Asked Sakura. Ibiki nodded. Correct. Those who were caught 5 times cheating were failed. Ibiki began to remove his headband. Better to not cheat than to cheat clumsily. Ibiki pulled off his headband, and around the room students gasped and closed their eyes disbelieving. The Junin commander has slashes and deep punctures in his head. Ah what a mess, thought Neji. Look at those burn marks, slashes, and puncture wounds. All signs of what he went through and endured. Cool, thought Dosu. I bet his hands are worse. Won't ever happen to me though. Unlike him, I'm not stupid enough to get caught. Ew, thought Sakura and Ino, closing their eyes. Nasty. That exactly proves my point of how pathetic these proctors are, concluded Kyuubi. If they were any good, Naruto, they would have easily seen you were cheating. You were incredibly obvious. Naruto shrugged. Hey, I wasn't caught. That's all that matters. Wrong, brat. Pay attention to what this guy says then. What he says is important. Information, continued Ibiki, it can be the most valuable thing on the battlefield. How well you gather it can determine whether a mission is a failure or a success. There will be times you will have to risk your life to get it. Many of the genin shook as Ibiki replaced his headband. Of course, you must always consider the source of your information, said Ibiki, because intelligence gathered from an enemy is not necessarily accurate. Always bear this in mind. Disinformation can be worse than no information. It can lead to the deaths of comrades, or worse, the destruction of a village. That's why I put you in the position where you had to gather accurate intelligence, cheat to survive. Those who weren't good enough, the ones who got caught were weeded out. Tamari nodded, finally getting it. Okay, so I get that part now, but what about the 10th question? If the test was about cheating to gather information, what was the point of the last question? I'm not getting it. Ibiki's sweat dropped. You're not? The 10th question was the main point of the whole exam. Many of the genin exchanged glances. Sakura raised a hand. Yay, we get it, but just in case why don't you explain it? Ibiki sighed. Geez. Those two ask questions a lot. As I said before, my goal was to test you not only as individuals but as a part of a squad. Ibiki closed his eyes, as the genin leaned forward, eager to his explanation. The final question gave you two choices, both difficult. You could choose to play it safe and skip the question, though it meant that both you and your teammates would be failed. Neji looked back towards Tenten and Lee. He silently breathed in relief, thanking the heavens that Lee had not raised his hand. The other option, continued Ibiki, was you could try and answer the question, knowing if you got it wrong you could never be a chunin. It was a no-win situation. However, that is just the sort chunin had to face every day. Whoa, unreal, this chunin stuff is tough, thought Sakura. He's kind of over-exaggerating it, said Naruto. Of course, Dobi, he's an interrogator, that's his job. Naruto frowned. Fine, no need to sound so cruel. Okay, said Tamari, so what kind of missions do chunin do? Ibiki shrugged. Well, there are many types. For example, why don't I give you a hypothetical mission? You're given the task of stealing an enemy document from an enemy stronghold. You have no idea how many ninja the enemy have, nor how armed they are. The genin all nodded, some with their mouths open like little kids. This was good stuff. Furthermore, continued Ibiki, you have reason to believe you were expected, that you may very well be walking into a trap. Now, do you have the option of taking a pass on this insane mission, of saying my comrades would rather live to fight another day? Can you choose to avoid danger? Around the room, genin exchanged glances. Their minds turned, wondering whether they would ever turn down on a mission. However, before they could come to a decision, Ibiki shouted, no, there will be many missions that will seem to be suicidal. But as a chunin, you do not think about it. You think only of the goal, and achieving that goal through courage and discipline. These are the qualities required of a chunin squad leader. Naruto and Sasuke continued to smirk, while the others slowly began to feel a sense. Ibiki pointed towards the doors, where many genin had left. Those who choose the safer of two paths, those whose determinations falters in the face of adversity, those who would put their comrades' lives in jeopardy by worrying about their own, and those who would save their own necks at the price of sacred honor, will never be able to call themselves chunin. Well, at least as long as I'm here. In the back, Kiba let out a supporting cheer, causing Ibiki to smile. What an interesting group of kids. As for the rest of you, he said, continuing, you have all successfully answered the 10 questions I put to you. You have earned the right to continue to the next step. You have passed through the first gate. I hereby declare the first test of the chunin exams complete. There's nothing left, except to wish you all good luck and pray you fight the good fight. Naruto leapt. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. First test done. Look, Hinata, we just passed. Wahoo. Many of the genin stared at him, as Naruto began to punch the air in a victory dance. What's up with this guy? Gaara, making sure no one was watching, grinned. Naruto, enjoy your little free time. The next test is going to be fun for both you and I. Neji watched Naruto carefully. Hey, Lee, are you sure this guy is the one you were talking about? The guy who fought you? I mean, he looks weak. Lee shook his head. No, do not underestimate Naruto, he is very strong. Neji frowned. I see. Ibiki smiled as he watched Naruto. There's something about this kid, thought Ibiki. He's different from the others. Throughout the whole test, he had no signs of worry in his eyes. What an interesting kid, Naruto Uzumaki. Sasuke shook his head. Look at him, Kyuubi. Even now, Naruto is just one big ball of energy. I'll say, replied the fox gruffly. Hey, what's wrong with having energy? Sasuke and Kyuubi didn't reply, but laughed. The light moment was ruined as Sasuke suddenly sat back and counted down from 3. When he got to 0, the window smashed, shattering glass all over the floor. A long dark cloth was set up in front of Ibiki, attached to the ceiling by kunai. Genin leapt up in surprise, wondering what the hell was going on. As the cloth unraveled, a woman in the middle of the cloth was stood up. She had dark purple hair and wore a tan garment. She pointed to all the genin and, rather quickly shouted, "Oi, I'm Anko Mitarashi, the proctor for the second Chunin exams. Are you ready? Good, then let's go, follow me," she yelled, punching the air. Now, thought Ibiki, smiling, "Oh, spare me." She jumped the gun as usual. "Hey, Anko, you're early, again. Can't you see the mood in here?" said Ibiki as he stepped from behind the cloth. Anko frowned and sweat dropped. Meanwhile the genin gaped at her open mouth. Some of the cockier genin tried to stifle their laughter. Sakura frowned and her eyes narrowed. Great, she's a nutcase. She reminds me of Naruto. Up front, Anko counted the number of students. As she counted more and more, her frown grew more pronounced. When she was finished she almost looked angry. "Ibiki, how many are there? You passed all these guys. Your test was too easy, Ibiki. I think you're getting soft?" Ibiki shrugged, or perhaps there are a stronger crop of candidates this year. Anko turned to regard the passing students. They sure don't look it. Oh well, by the time I'm done with them, more than half will be eliminated. This is going to be fun, said Anko in a sadistic way, licking her lips. The smirks and laughter disappeared from the room, replaced by ones on mixed fear and anticipation. In the back, Neji narrowed his eyes. Let's see. There are 78 in the classroom now, he thought, doing some calculations in his head. If what she says is true, she'll have eliminated more than 39 genin. Sakura gulped as she took a glance at Sasuke and Naruto. To her surprise, both of her teammates were unaffected by her words. I don't know if they heard or not, but half. Geez, less than half the amount in the room. Really, what are they going to do? Send us through some survival test or something? I wouldn't put it past her. Alright, yelled Anko, you maggots have had it easy so far. But things are going to be different starting first thing in the morning. I'll let your squad leaders know where you're to meet me. Until then, said Anko, smiling sweetly, dismissed. The genin immediately stood up, and created pandemonium at the door, trying to get out. No one wanted to be the last person in the room with Anko. Team 7 collected near the door. Naruto clapped Sakura and Sasuke on the back, faking happiness. Yeah, we did it, Sakura frowned. Yes, now get your hands off me, before I use unnecessary force, said Sakura, evilly. Naruto immediately obliged, not wanting to see any unnecessary force. Next morning the crowd of genin gazed wondrously up at the seemingly endless darkness that loomed ahead of them. Many gulped, their nervousness obvious, while the others tried to keep calm. Hey, said a rain ninja, what is this place? Anko smirked. This is the stage for part 2 of the Chunin exams, training area battleground number 44. We like to call it the Forest of Death though. The name sparked a memory in Neji's mind. This is the next test, thought Neji, questioningly, but this is the Forest of Death. Neji turned to Tenten and Lee. Hey, be careful here, especially you Lee. Guy told us of this place long ago, forbidding us to train here because of the dangerous creatures. I think they're going to make us go through this place for the next exam. Lee snickered, no forest is going to stop our youthfulness. We will be just fine. We are long past the stage where we were inexperienced. Neji, you should be worrying about fighting me. I intend to beat you someday. Neji didn't we reply. Lee, you will always be inexperienced compared to me. The heavens would never allow that to change. Neji shrugged and turned his head towards Sasuke and Naruto. His eyes narrowed, seeing their pleasant talk. He then smiled maliciously. In another corner, Shino whispered quietly to his teammates. There is an evil feel to this forest guys, be careful. Yeehaw! No danger will ever get through me and Akamaru, yelled Kiba loudly. Akamaru barked in response. I wonder if Naruto-kun knows, thought Hinata, raising her hand to her mouth. Complained Sakura, inching closer to Sasuke, whose eyes were twitching. There's something about this place that creeps me out. Naruto nodded. I heard that even some Chunin don't like to come to this place either. Something about tough. Sakura gulped. Creepy, she murmured. Anko caught her words and grinned. Well, of course it's creepy. It's called the Forest of Death for a reason, she said cheerfully, sending shivers down everyone's spine, and soon enough you guys are going to find out why. Kiba coughed and then squatted down, putting on his best female voice. Shaking his behind he mocked, it's called the Forest of Death, and you're going to find out why. Kiba pointed at Anko. You don't scare me, you just get on and tell us what to do. Anko turned towards Kiba, grinning. The sight of it made Kiba shiver slightly as he remembered whom he was talking to. Hey, bad move Kiba, muttered Shino, noiselessly, just as Anko slipped a kunai from her sleeve. In one swift sweep she had thrown the kunai. The blade sliced open Kiba's cheek and landed in the midst of a group of grass genin, whom all wore straw hats. Kiba froze as he watched Anko disappear. He felt her presence as she grabbed him from behind. He shivered as she whispered in his ear. You're not afraid of this, are you? Tough guy? Are you feeling frightened now? She asked slowly. She began wiping the blood on Kiba's cheek off, as the genin gulped. Akamaru, too scared to help, remained far away. You know, continued Anko, It's usually guys like you that leave their blood all over this forest. Sakura's eyes said, she's a nut and a lunatic, and I thought this forest was creepy. Naruto suddenly placed a hand on his kunai pouch, seeing one of the grass ninja move. He would have thrown it, had Sasuke not held his hand. I know, Dobi, relax. Calm down. We can't do anything here. Naruto's breaths began to get very heavy as he saw the snake Sanin in disguise as a grass ninja appear behind Anko, sticking out his long snake-like tongue. The other genin, sensing a tense situation, closed in around Anko, Kiba, and Orochimaru, disguised. Anko held a second kunai to the tongue as she groaned, "Why hello there, grass ninja." "My apologies," came the slow reply, "but you dropped this," he said, holding the knife in his tongue. Anko easily swiped the kunai and then continued, "You know, I can only see one reason why you are standing so close behind me. You want to have a premature death." The grass ninja chuckled, "Ah, sorry, it's just that, between the blood you spilled from the boy's cheek and the hair that your kunai cut off, I got a little too excited. I meant you no harm." Anko chuckled as he backed off. "Likewise," she murmured, while Kiba continued to shake. "Geez, what kinds of loonies are here? And the guy with that tongue, I can't even do that." "Well," continued Anko, "it seems that everyone is tense today. It must be something in the air," she said, with a slight chuckle. "This is going to be fun." Kiba stared at Anko's retreating form, annoyed. "Damn, Proctor." "All right, we're just about ready to begin," said Anko. "So," said Shikamaru, raising a hand lazily, interrupting her. "What exactly do we need to do?" Anko grinned, and reached into her jacket. She pulled out a sheet of papers. "Before we begin, I have something for you all. It's just a standard consent form." Many of the genin appeared dumbfounded. Neji's eyes narrowed. "Consent forms? What for?" "Before I can begin the test, all of you will need to read this and then sign it." Sakura raised a hand. "Wait a minute. Why do we need to sign a consent form?"
Anko laughed, "Because some of you may not make it back alive from this little test," she answered as if it were obvious. The genin were all startled and murmured amongst each other. "And so," continued Anko, "I need you guys to sign this to make sure you all understand the risks. Otherwise it will be my fault," she said, continuing to laugh.
"So, hand these out," said Anko, to Naruto, who was thinking about Orochimaru. Naruto nodded and absent-mindedly took a sheet and handed the rest to Kabuto, who stood nearby. "Anyway," continued Anko, "you'll need every survival skill you know to pass the test because..." Naruto blocked out Anko's voice and turned to look at Sasuke. He appeared to be having some sort of eye conversation with Gaara. When they finished, Naruto nudged Sasuke. "Hey, Sasuke, what's Gaara like now?" Sasuke shrugged. "He's still normal Gaara. He hardly speaks, and it seems his idea of communication is the movement of the eyes. Still, he doesn't kill people randomly anymore, so I guess that's a plus." Naruto nodded and then turned back to Anko. "So, I think we can count on his help with Orochimaru." "Hey, brat," interrupted Kyuubi, "I told you to stop worrying about that bum. The only thing I want you to do is pass this test. By now, you should be able to handle Orochimaru just fine. You should easily be able to catch him off guard and incapacitate him." Naruto shook his head. "No, I'm going to rip that guy piece by piece until there's nothing left. Then I'm going to kill him." Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Naruto, 1. Relax. 2. You didn't make any sense." Naruto shrugged. "Whatever, Teme." Sasuke stared at Naruto, worried about his emotions before turning back to Anko, who had pulled out a scroll. She unrolled it to reveal a map. "Everyone, look up here," she yelled. "This map is a diagram that will give you a basic idea of the terrain. The Forest of Death training grounds has 44 locked entrance gates. Each team will start at a different gate, and you will enter at the same time. There are 2 rivers and in the center there is a locked tower. The tower is approximately 10 kilometers from each gate." Sakura frowned. 10 kilometers? That's not too bad, but there's got to be a catch or something. "It's within this area that you will undergo the survival test," said Anko. "And during the test you are allowed to use any weapon or technique, or whatever the hell you want to use to pass." "So we just need to survive on our own in the forest?" asked Neji. Anko smiled. "Not quite, kitty. For the second exam, you will need to fight each other for these scrolls," she said, holding up a green and blue scroll. "Anything goes." In the back, Dosu, Kin, and Zaku all looked at each other, grinning. "Well, that just made our job easier," said Zaku. "So, we need to get both scrolls?" asked Sakura. "Yes," replied Anko, holding out the scrolls. "You'll need one of each. You'll be battling for a heaven scroll and an earth scroll. It's kind of like a fight to the death version of Capture the Flag, though in this case, it's Capture the Scroll." The groups of genin now regarded each other suspiciously as if the test had already begun. Those with rivalries eyed each other vengefully, while others who were just cocky looked to see whom they would target first. "Now, the details," said Anko. "There are 26 teams that have passed the first exam. So, 13 of those will get a heaven and the other 13 will get an earth scroll. Like I said before, and it should be obvious any Your objective is to get the other scroll and then to bring both scrolls to the tower at the center. Shikamaru nodded thoughtfully as he formulated a plan. So, all we need to do is to collect 2 scrolls. Let's hope Naruto's team gets the opposite scroll as is. They're by far the weakest team probably. All they have is Sasuke. This test is easier than I thought. So, D does that mean T that half the teams will fail? Asked Hinata shyly. B because T they will get T their S scrolls T taken. Anko frowned. Wow, and this girl passed the first exam? Ibiki really did screw this one up. Yes, that's right, said Anko, making the tension just a little higher. Genin knew now they would need to do their best. Oh, said Anko, laughing, I forgot to tell you the time limit. Kiba jumped. We're being timed. Why? It's hard enough anyway. Anko laughed. Well, we need to have this test over with sometime. Can't have you guys wandering around in there forever. Some of us have lives, you know, unlike you. It took Kiba a moment to realize he was being made fun of, and when he did he turned beet red and lowered his hand. So, continued Anko, you will have exactly 120 hours to successfully bring both scrolls to the tower. That's 5 days. What? Shouted Ino. 5 days? What are we going to do for food? Asked Choji, horrified. Anko shrugged and plucked a berry from a nearby branch that hung over the fence. That's your problem now, isn't it? The forest is full of nature's bounty. Of course, I've also seen large man-eating beasts, deadly poisonous plants and bugs, all sorts of creatures. That's why it's called survival test. Choji frowned as he envisioned himself trudging through the forest without food. Oh no, he thought. That's not the worst problem, Choji, said Ino, hitting him, knowing he was concerned about food. But Ino, whined Choji, we have to find food now. Ino kicked him. The problem is, and there's no way 13 teams will pass. Simply because as the days go by, there will be less available scrolls and you'll be more fatigued. We'll have to be constantly on guard, like sleeping with one eye open. Hearing Ino, Anko suddenly broke into a huge grin. Exactly, and there's the beauty of the survival test. Apart from those who are killed, some are bound to succumb to exhaustion, starvation, dehydration, and exposure. I wonder how long it will take before you guys are screaming for mercy. My mouth just waters at the sound of it. Around the area, Mafidant now gulped, while those already nervous looked downright horrified. Sakura looked nervous, though Sasuke patted her on the back, making her blush. Ah, Sakura, don't worry. This forest is nothing for me and Naruto. Yeah, agreed Naruto, me and Sasuke and you will breeze through this forest easy. So don't sweat over it. Sakura smiled. Thanks, you guys, she said, softly. Anko grinned as she saw Team 7 conversing. My, those two over there are considered one bit. Looks like Ibiki found some nice picks this time around. Now, let's go over the rules, she said, attracting everyone's attention, and also what offenses will get you disqualified. She held up 3 fingers. First, she said, lowering a finger. Obviously those teams that failed to reach the tower or failed to bring both scrolls fail. She lowered a second finger. Next, all 3 team members must be present and in condition to fight on the 5th day when you are all due at the tower. Which means if even one of a team's members are dead or severely injured, that team's out. And lastly, she said lowering her 3rd finger, you are not allowed to open the scrolls until after you get into the tower. Many were confused by the last rule. So, said Kankuro, raising a hand, what happens if you open a scroll? Anko gave off another sadistic grin. That's for those who open theirs prematurely to find out, she said, winking, because as a chunin, you will sometimes be entrusted with top secret documents and information. Consider this a test of your trustworthiness. And remember, if you open the scroll, you fail. All the genin nodded. Okay, that's all the explanation you get, said Anko. Next we'll hand out scrolls. We will give each team 1 scroll of every 3 consent forms turned in. So, hurry up and sign. When you've got your scroll, choose which gate you'd like to start from. And one final piece of advice, stay alive. The genin all looked at one another, and right there on the field, challenges were made by eye contact. Naruto and Gaara locked eyes and both simultaneously nodded, to signify they were ready for each other. Nearby, at a small little stand, a curtain was pushed aside and a chunin peeked out. Anko, it's we're ready to distribute the scrolls. Anko nodded. Alright, now read and sign. Once you're all finished, go to the stand to turn your forms in. Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura signed theirs immediately and proceeded inside. They stepped behind the curtain, while Neji watched. Smart, assessed the Hyuga prodigy. Now we can't possibly know what scroll they get, nor which one of them carries it. It's like that Proctor said, stealing intelligence is a matter of life and death. Everyone is an enemy, but oh well, my Byakugan will overcome them all. Neji turned to his team, let's go. Tenten nodded, while Lee punched the air. Master Guy, I will do my best. 10 minutes later, all the teams were ready to go. At gate 16, Kiba, Shino and Hinata got ready to enter. Woohoo, howled Kiba, if it's survival they want, we've got it made, right, agreed Hinata. At gate 27, Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji were all looking smug. "So, everyone got the plan?" asked Shikamaru. Ino nodded. "Right, we're going after Naruto's group, they've got to be the worst." "Munch munch," was Choji's reply, as he happily swallowed down chips. At gate 20, the sound ninja made their devious plans. Dosu leaned forward, as if wishing to break the lock apart. "Finally, we can carry out our orders. Orochimaru will be pleased." At gate 6, the Sand siblings stood together and silently wished each other luck. Kankuro stared proudly at his brother, with Gaara. "There's no way anybody can beat us. We'll be done in a flash." At gate 15 and gate 38, were Kabuto and Orochimaru's teams respectively. Both plotted to go after Naruto and Sasuke right away. At gate 41, Neji and Tenten listened to Lee shouted about how their youthfulness would beat down everyone to the ground. And finally, at gate number 12, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura stood side by side. "Oh yeah, I'm definitely ready for this, guy," shouted Naruto. "Dobi," said Sasuke, chuckling. "Forest of Death, bring it on," shouted Sakura, who couldn't help but shout along with Naruto. From a screen, Anko watched all the teams have their last-minute preparations. At exactly 12 she pressed a button, opening all the gates. From around the training ground, genin dashed in, each with ambitions and ideas for winning. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura slowly walked in. The three genin nodded and gave each other high fives. And then, together, they leapt into the dark forest. "Ready, Sasuke? We'll have one shot to put him down for good." "Ready," replied the Uchiha. "Chunin exams. Orochimaru gets his way." The three genin leapt side by side quietly, on guard as they traveled through the eerie forest. "Okay," said Sasuke suddenly, as he landed by a tree, "we'll stop here for now. Let's come up with some kind of formation or strategy in case we're attacked." Sakura and Naruto both nodded. "Right, so, what do we do?" asked Sakura. Sasuke scratched his head, thinking, "Hold on a minute. Hey, Dobi, okay, so are we agreed? Let Orochimaru catch us and take him out?" "Defined Telly," replied the blown genin. Sasuke noticed he trembled a bit, and knew it was from anticipation and anger. Sasuke nodded. "Naruto, don't be foolish. Even though we have the advantage this time, we must not underestimate him." Naruto nodded in response, and Sasuke cleared his throat. "Okay, I'll take the lead, since I'm the quickest out of all of us. Sakura, you will be in the middle. You have the greatest strength out of all of us, and you can provide support to both Naruto and I. Naruto will fan out behind us, like a sweeper, providing the defense in case we're caught off guard." "Wait," objected Sakura, "and no offense Naruto, but is that really a good idea?" Sasuke nodded. "Don't underestimate Naruto. Trust me, he may be a dobi, but he is not weak." Naruto glared daggers at Sasuke, while Sakura chuckled. "Okay, Naruto, you better watch out real good," threatened Sakura, or, she punched her fists together, as Naruto gulped. "Yeah, Sakura-chan." Changing the subject abruptly to keep the team focused, Sasuke said, "All right, we'll walk from here." "I'm feeling particularly lazy," said Sasuke, with a grin. "Yeah, someone will find us eventually." Sakura looked nervous, though she nodded. "Let's go," said Sasuke. As Sasuke turned to leave, he detected a familiar presence nearby. "Hey, Naruto, his team has the opposite scroll. Find out if he has it." "Right," replied Naruto. Sasuke, wait," said Naruto. Sasuke acted surprised and stopped. Sakura turned. "Naruto, we haven't even been here that long, and now you already have to go to the bathroom?" Naruto sweat dropped. "Wow, Sakura-chan, how did you know?" Sakura glared. "Well, you're holding your pants, that's one." Naruto chuckled. "Right, yeah, I'll be right back, then." Sasuke shrugged. "Don't lose your guard, Dobi." Naruto nodded, as he leapt into some nearby bushes. Sasuke sat down on a nearby log, and Sakura joined him. For a moment the two sat in an awkward silence, while Sakura fiddled with her fingers. Irritated, Sasuke took hold of her hands. "Relax, Sakura. Don't worry, we're all going to be fine, if we all work together. Don't get cold feet now." Sakura nodded, though her mind filed with nasty thoughts of their bloody and gruesome deaths. "What is wrong with me? Why am I feeling like this?" She was interrupted as Sasuke suddenly stood, with a concerned look. Fearing for Naruto, Sakura leapt up. "Sasuke, what's wrong? Is it Naruto?" Sasuke covered her mouth and motioned to be quiet. As he did so, Naruto stepped from behind a tree. He pulled his zip up and then walked over to Sakura. Sasuke watched him closely, and then found Naruto telepathically. He inwardly groaned. "Naruto, you have about 5 seconds to tell me what the heck just happened." Naruto's reply came back almost instantaneously. "I let him catch a bunchin'. I'm looking around for the teammates. He doesn't have the scroll." Sasuke snarled. "Stick to the formation, Dobi, and hurry up." Kyuubi chuckled. "That kid is a natural idiot." Meanwhile, Naruto showed off to Sakura. "Ah, I feel so much better now. Maybe you should go too, Sakura, it does wonders. Sakura's eyes darkened and in a swift motion, slapped Naruto into the ground. As Naruto stood, he moaned and then muttered something about, let's go. Sakura and Sasuke both turned, the latter seemingly unaware that Naruto was grinning evilly. As Naruto took a step forward, Sasuke suddenly flipped behind him, sending out a bone-shattering punch. Ah! Yelled Naruto as flew into a tree. At the same time, Sakura jumped in half surprise and half fright. Sasuke, what was that for? I think that was a little too harsh, you could have hurt him. Naruto leapt up, yeah, you could have hurt me. What's your problem? Sasuke drew a kunai and pointed it at Naruto. Hey, you have about 5 seconds to tell me who you are, before I rip off every part of your body with this kunai. Sakura stared frighteningly at Sasuke. Fear suddenly overtook her as she raised her hands. Naruto slowly stood, wiping blood off his face. Hey, Sakura, we better watch out. I think he's going crazy. Sasuke chuckled, yeah right. What happened to your shuriken pouch? I notice it's on your left hip. Naruto's right-handed. Sakura suddenly gasped, as she tried to process the fact of an imposter Naruto. Your transformation jutsu is terrible. A shinobi must be accurate in all his maneuvers, he must be stealthy, secretive, and wise. You, said Sasuke with emphasis, have neither of those. Naruto remained silent for a second before breaking into a wide grin. Well, it looks like you've caught me. But I'm still going to take your scroll. Naruto disappeared, as smoke covered him. Another face popped out of it, belonging to a rain ninja. He dashed forward swiftly, as Sasuke grunted, and Sakura suddenly froze in surprise and fear. So, cried the rain ninja, which one of you has the scroll, or should I just take you both you? Sasuke smirked and leapt up, doing fast hand signs. He flipped upside down in midair and with his sharingan activated, said, you fool. Kaden. Hosenka no Jutsu. Fire style. Phoenix flower technique. From his mouth Sasuke shot out 10 fireballs, which followed the rain ninja, who stopped and placed his hands together, Oboro Bunshin no, Hei's clone. Before he could finish his technique however, Sasuke had appeared behind him. Hey, over here, the rain ninja froze with nervousness before Sasuke sent a lights-out punch towards his head. The rain ninja took the blunt of the blow and was swallowed in a large fire by Sasuke's fireball attack and was knocked high up, smoking. Sasuke leapt up after him, gathering chakra into his finger to puncture the man's heart, but to his dismay, Sakura got ahead of him, smashing the genin down with a bone-shattering punch. She looked like the wild Sakura he knew. The rain genin choked blood as he landed on the ground. Sasuke landed nearby. Well, under normal circumstances I would just kill you now, but that doesn't seem too fair, does it? The rain genin muttered something, though all that came out was blood. Sasuke grabbed the ninja by the throat. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Sakura watched as slowly, the genin's faces went from one of cockiness to that of absolute horror. For some reason she enjoyed every second of it. Why your friend, choked out the rain genin, if you let me go, and my friends will spare him. Sakura suddenly gasped, remembering that Naruto wasn't there. She was about to go look, when Sasuke grabbed her hand with his free one. Don't worry, Sakura, Naruto is just fine. The rain genin chuckled, I wouldn't be too sure, but if you let me go. Sasuke frowned, though it soon turned into a smile. Well, if you're so confident that our friend is in trouble, then who is that over there? Fearfully, the rain genin turned to see the orange-clad genin standing on a tree branch nearby. What? How did he get out of that rope trap? Haha, Naruto Uzumaki is here, shouted the blonde. Sorry, Teme. I got ambushed by some sand ninja. They had the same scroll as us, but they're out of the contest now. Ignoring Naruto, Sasuke turned back to the rain ninja. So, continued Sasuke, first, you attack us, then, when you get your ass whooped you try to threaten us, not to mention doing it through a bluff. I think you deserve to die. The rain genin gulped, and no, please don't, I'll give you our scroll. Don't hurt me. Sasuke shook his head, if you had the scroll, my friend would have found it on you whenever caught him, you caught a cage bunshin. Realizing that he had fallen into a trap, the rain genin gasped and closed his eyes, realizing he was about to die. Tell you what, said Sasuke, you go back to your little pals, and tell them to train hard. Because next time we meet, we're going to beat your shit team down and take your scroll. Until then, Sasuke didn't finish his line as he forcefully hurled the rain genin into the darkness of the surrounding trees. The rain genin landed on his feet somehow, and bounded away. He turned back with a look of pure anger in his eyes. This isn't over, he shouted. Ignoring him, Sasuke turned back to the team. Naruto and Sakura both gaped at him. Wow, Sasuke, why did you let him go? Asked Sakura. Sasuke shrugged, too weak for me to even bothering wasting my energy on. Brat, kid, Orochimaru is lurking near. Sasuke tensed, and focused his chakra to his senses. He detected Orochimaru in his grass ninja disguise about 1,000 feet away. Two other unfamiliar chakra presences were with him. Naruto also detected the presence, for Sasuke saw the familiar signs of his whisker marks growing, which was always a bad sign. "Brat, calm down," complained Kyuubi, "don't you remember the last time you tried to transform into that? You lost all control?" Naruto seemed to get the message, for his chakra levels went down, causing Sasuke to sigh in relief. "Okay," said Sasuke, mostly to Sakura, "after that last incident we need to sit down and think about what to do if a situation like that occurs again." Sakura nodded. "Right, how about a password? Something only the three of us would know." Sasuke nodded. "I have one ready." "Naruto, pay attention." Naruto turned his attention towards Sasuke. Thought Sakura noticed his eyes kept shifting towards their left. Her eyes narrowed, wondering if Naruto was keeping something quiet. She was pulled out of her suspicions by Sasuke, who nudged her. "You ready, Sakura?" Sakura nodded and listened closely. Sasuke nodded. "Okay. Listen closely because I only want to say this once. The question will be, when does a ninja strike?" Sakura nodded and repeated the question to herself. "Alright, the response is," said Sasuke, speaking a little more loudly, "a ninja waits until the time is right. When the enemy sleeps and drops his guard, when his weapons lay forgotten in the stillness of the night, that is the moment for a ninja to strike. Got it?" Sakura nodded and grinned. "I got it." "Easy," replied Naruto. Sasuke raised a knowing eyebrow at Naruto, though he was interrupted when he detected a surge of chakra from behind. "Something's coming, get ready." The three genin leapt into a triangular-shaped formation, with Sasuke in the lead. The Uchiha prodigy placed his hands together as the wind suddenly pounded into them. "This jutsu," thought Sasuke, "besides me, only Naruto, and he knows it." The three genin were desperately held their ground, but slowly they were pushed backwards. "Naruto," shouted Sasuke over the wind, "use your earth techniques." Naruto nodded and forced his way in front of Sasuke and Sakura. The Uchiha held onto a branch, while his free hand held Sakura in place. "Hurry, Naruto." Naruto finally stopped and formed some hand seals. He placed a hand to his mouth, shouting, "Doden. Doryuheki. Earth style wall." Naruto spewed a stream of mud from his mouth, which quickly turned into a solid wall. It effectively blocked the wind attack, and the three genin panted for breath behind it. Naruto peered in front of the wall, surveying the area. Many of the trees had been leveled, leaving little cover. "We have to move," said Naruto. "Quickly, we're exposed." Sasuke nodded. "Follow me. We'll use the same formation. Let's catch this guy off guard." Sakura nodded, unaware that it would be very difficult to catch Orochimaru off guard. As they leapt through the forest in single file, another wave of wind hit them from the side. While Sasuke helped Sakura, Naruto used another Doden Doryuheki technique to block the wind. Landing on a nearby branch, Sasuke shouted, "Sharingan." His eyes turned blood red, and Sakura noticed that his Sharingan looked different than it normally did. Noticing her gaze, Sasuke said, "It's the Mangekyo Sharingan, better than the standard Sharingan basically." Sakura nodded impressed, while Sasuke peeked behind their barrier. His eyes detected the chakra presence of Orochimaru 50 feet away. "Damn, he's faster than I predicted." "Okay," said Sasuke turning back, "he's 50 feet in front of us. I'll go straight for him, and while I hold him, Sakura, you and Naruto hit him from behind. Naruto will take the lead." Before Naruto could object, Sasuke had leapt away. "No TEME," shouted Naruto. Before he could move, Sakura grabbed him. "No, Naruto. We need to follow Sasuke's orders. Come on, he could be in trouble." "Damn, hurry up, Naruto." Frustrated, Naruto handed Sakura some kunai. "Sakura, when you see the target, throw these at him. Preferably not all bunched up." Confused Sakura asked why. "Arg, forget it, Sakura, just do it, now take my hand." Naruto placed his hands together and shouted, "Hiri-ishin no jutsu, flying thunder god technique." Bewildered, Sakura suddenly felt herself moving at incredible speed, and before she knew it she was next to Sasuke. Taking a look around, she saw Naruto and Sasuke engaging one of the grass ninja in an incredibly high-speed taijutsu match. Impressed with the fighting, Sakura forgot about the kunai, only to be forcefully reminded when Naruto shouted, "Sakura, the kunai," before taking a hit that sent him into a tree. Sakura instantly began throwing the kunai, which the grass ninja dodged. Behind her, Naruto stood and leapt back in. The fighting continued with neither side doing much until the grass ninja suddenly stopped. Sasuke and Naruto stopped side by side, each with their arms poised for action. The grass ninja laughed, I'm surprised. The two of you are stronger than I originally gave you credit for. It's not an easy task to block my wind technique." The three genin remained silent, while Orochimaru suddenly pulled out his earth scroll. "Feast your eyes on these, wouldn't they look nice with your heaven scroll?" Orochimaru suddenly wrapped his long tongue around it, swallowing it whole. "Ew," cried Sakura, inching backwards, "how creepy." Sasuke drew a kunai. "Hey, take off the mask, Orochimaru." Or do you want us to take it off ourselves? We already got a cheek piece. Sakura screamed when Sasuke held up a piece of flesh that was no longer on the grass ninja's skin. To make matters worse, there was also no blood in the hole, only an eye that seemed to hunger for blood. Orochimaru remained silent, his gaze no longer smiling. When he peeled off his mask eerily, he almost looked angry. Who are you? How did you know who I was? Sakura sat down in fright, wondering what had happened. It doesn't matter that we know, said Sasuke. All that matters is you're going to die. Sasuke made to throw his kunai for a distraction, when Orochimaru smirked. Ah, about that, too late. You should keep an eye on your surroundings. At that moment a snake appeared almost magically, devouring both Sasuke and Naruto whole. Sakura screamed and tears threatened to come down her face as she watched the snake move towards her. Goodbye, said Orochimaru sweetly. As the snake lunged, Sakura closed her eyes. She waited for the inevitable, but it never came. Opening an eye, she found herself face to face with Naruto, who had used his own body as a shield to stop the snake's momentum, and Sasuke, who had pulled out a sword to impale the snake's mouth. The two genin jumped in front of Sakura and eyed Orochimaru, who appeared to be deep in thought. Orochimaru bared his teeth. So, Kawarimi no Jutsu, replacement technique, and under those circumstances too. How interesting. Orochimaru suddenly vanished, appearing behind Sasuke and Naruto. So tell me, how do you know who I am? It greatly interests me. The longer you talk, the longer you live. Naruto oozed back kick, which Orochimaru avoided. I don't have to answer you. Orochimaru smiled as he landed on a branch. Aren't you the brave one? Well, then, can you brave this one out? Orochimaru suddenly threw 5 kunai at them, and charged.
Sasuke blocked the kunai with 2 of his own, while Naruto drew his sword. He vanished behind Orochimaru using Shunshin, and then shouted, Mikazuki no Mai. Naruto split into 3, surprising Orochimaru. Damn, thought Orochimaru as the clones chopped his head off.
Sakura gasped, wondering if they had won, before Naruto suddenly backflipped to avoid 3 kunai. Sasuke looked up to see Orochimaru standing on a branch. The snake Sanin smiled. My, what power behind those idiotic smiles, said Orochimaru to Naruto. You're quite the capable ninja. Naruto, I'm going to distract him, said Sasuke, not moving. I'm going to let you do the honors. Yeah, use your snake stuff to surprise him. I'll use hiding mist, responded Naruto, careful not to move his head. He couldn't let Orochimaru know they could communicate like this. Naruto suddenly formed a hand seal, Kirigakure no Jutsu. Mist surrounded the area almost immediately, as Sasuke and Naruto simultaneously hid their chakra energies. While Sakura stayed put, Orochimaru laughed, his echoes spreading through the clearing. Ah, so you want to play? You can't seriously think this mist will stop me? He was surprised as Sasuke appeared from his right. Seneashu, hidden shadow snake hand. Orochimaru stared in surprise as long snakes wrapped around his body, biting deep into his flesh. Behind him he heard Naruto shout, take this, damn it, thought Orochimaru, as he did quick hand signs, Kaden. Gokakyu no Jutsu. Although he was trapped, the flame Orochimaru spewed was enough to stop Naruto's slash, and a moment later he was able to use Kawarimi. Sasuke's snakes vanished into his arm. As Orochimaru gasped for air, that jutsu, where did you learn it from? Sasuke grinned, from you, Orochimaru. Orochimaru growled, what do you mean? We have never met. Sasuke smiled mysteriously. Well, that's the problem, isn't it? So, you want to play games? Sasuke, sneered Orochimaru. Meanwhile, Sakura and Naruto landed nearby. You can't beat us, said Naruto, so why don't you just accept your death? It will be over quickly, I guarantee it. Orochimaru laughed in response. Oh, I think you're underestimating me. But if you want to play, we can certainly do that. Naruto shrugged, have it your way, he said before suddenly doing hand seals. Kyuubi no Jutsu. Naruto went into the Kyuubi form and began slashing with his claws. The snake Sanin in response used Seneashu to counterattack, and give Naruto something to attack, resulting in all his snakes ending up diced. Meanwhile Sasuke maneuvered above him, shouting, Chidori. Sakura watched dazzled, as lightning similar to Kakashi's formed in Sasuke's palm. Distracted, Orochimaru was knocked upwards by Naruto's Konoha Senpu. As Orochimaru went upwards, Sasuke suddenly came down, with his Chidori thrust out. Naruto landed nearby, waiting to see if this would be the end. Orochimaru groaned as he shouted, Ninpo, Kachiyose no Jutsu. Ninja art. Summoning Jutsu. A large brown snake materialized out of air, and quickly knocked Orochimaru out of Sasuke's range. As a result, the snake took the blunt of the blow and vanished in a poof of smoke. Sasuke hit the ground hard, and as he slowly tried to stand, he heard a rushing sound that made his blood turn to ice. Seeing Sasuke fall, Orochimaru quickly extended his neck. Ha! What a powerful uchiha! He may be stronger than Itachi. I must have him. Meanwhile, both Sakura and Naruto were gazing in horror at the scene folding in front of them. What the hell, his neck, thought Sakura. She suddenly saw Sasuke off guard. Sasuke, watch out. Sasuke slowly turned to see Orochimaru's head coming towards him. He urged his body to move, even though he knew it was futile. Naruto quickly placed his hands together and said, Hiri-ishin no jutsu. He teleported right in front of Sasuke, shouting, Konoha daisenpu. Orochimaru took the 2 kicks to the side and was knocked back into a tree. The scene would have been funny to Sakura if the situation hadn't been so serious. First, Orochimaru's body had been kicked backwards, and since his neck was extended it hit the tree second. The snake Sannin retracted his head and glared evilly at Naruto. You know the fourth technique? Naruto smiled proudly. That's right. And my formula is connected to Sasuke so I can help him in a flash, said Naruto, emphasizing the last word. Orochimaru grumbled and suddenly, without warning, leapt to flee. Damn it, they cannot be genin. Did I miscalculate their strength, thought Orochimaru. He suddenly stopped, seeing Sasuke grinning face in front of him. But how, oh no, Orochimaru gulped as realized what had happened. So, Sasuke, you changed your appearance to look like Sakura just after you did that lightning jutsu. Then while the fox boy distracted me, you created cage buncheons around the clearing to trap me, while the others caught up. How did you know I would try to escape? Sasuke smirked. Lucky guess, I suppose. But really, you shouldn't be worrying about the particulars, because this time you're not going to get away. Orochimaru frowned and bared his tongue, lashed out threateningly. Behind him, Sakura and Naruto landed. Both were grinning. Hey, Sasuke, said Sakura, that was a great plan. It worked. Orochimaru stared around him, realizing that between Sasuke and his sharingan and the Kyuubi container he had no hope of his escape. He began to cook up ideas to get away. To think at your age, you have complete mastery over your sharingan. To think you've even achieved the Mangekyo, something not many uchiha get. Sasuke smiled. You've certainly done your reading. Orochimaru suddenly grinned, realizing he could get an advantage by playing with Sasuke's mind. Oh no, no research for me. I just know a certain brother of yours. You know, the one who allegedly destroyed his clan save for his little brother. Orochimaru smirked, thinking he had gotten to the genin, for he noticed a faint frown. His surprise was quadrupled when Sasuke shrugged. I don't have a brother. Well, I guess if you consider close friends as brothers, but then again Naruto didn't destroy my clan, and unless Sakura is a cross-dresser, and a good one at that, then I don't really see any brothers around here. Orochimaru frowned. What? Did I make another miscalculation? When did Sasuke get so weak and soft-hearted? He has no ambition anymore. How could this be? Sasuke seemed to know what Orochimaru thought, for he added, Orochimaru, there is no way I'm going to fall into your mind game. What are you trying to do anyway? Get me so angry at my brother, that I'll join you in search for power to defeat him? That's a load of crap, considering you can't even beat me now. Sasuke smirked suddenly, and for the second time did the hand seals for the Chidori. I think that's enough talk. We already wasted half a day. Any more, and we might not make it. Oh, I forgot, you're not going to make it. Not wasting any time, Orochimaru suddenly went on his knees. The sudden cry for mercy startled the leaf shinobi, including Sasuke, who stopped his hand signs. Please, don't kill me, begged Orochimaru. Sasuke's eyes narrowed, wondering if Orochimaru was serious or if he was trying to stall for time. He immediately searched the area for anything suspicious. Meanwhile, Naruto and Sakura had dropped their guards, unaware that Orochimaru had used a kawarimi technique during his cry for mercy. Sasuke suddenly detected movement behind Sakura and he saw the Sannin's head extend for her. Sasuke panicked. No way, he's going to put the seal on her. But she'll die. No. Naruto, he's behind you. He's going to try and put the seal on Sakura. Better hurry, brat, warned Kyuubi. Naruto turned sharply, while Sakura jumped backward, with her hands raised. Naruto rolled not survive against Orochimaru's cursed seal technique, and against all logic and reason. He leapt in front to prevent her from receiving it. PPSSSST. Blood splattered over Sakura's face, as she gazed horrifyingly at the scene in front of her. Oh no, she whimpered. Sasuke felt as if time had slowed down as he tried to stop Naruto, though he could only watch helplessly as his friend took a bite to the neck. No, how could we have underestimated him? No. In a flash of fury, Sasuke ripped Orochimaru off Naruto and in an angry rush ripped off one of the Sannin's arms. I'll kill you, shouted Sasuke, trying to use every ninjutsu move he had. Fireballs pummeled the helpless snake ninja as Sasuke kept using the Hosenka no jutsu. Orochimaru, between blood loss and fireballs, crashed into a nearby tree, severely injured and paralyzed in the lower body. Meanwhile, Sakura caught Naruto's limp body and noticed the faint mark on his neck. She suddenly noticed that Naruto suddenly violently coughed and red chakra began to emit from his body. What happening to me? Moaned Naruto. The blonde boy began to throb and shake uncontrollable, before letting out an ear-splitting scream. Sasuke stopped his onslaught in bewilderment. all anger forgotten, and remembered Naruto needed treatment. He pinned Orochimaru to a tree with his shuriken and went to check on Naruto. He turned to see Sakura being thrown backwards by Kyuubi's chakra. "Kyuubi," shouted Sasuke. "What's going on? Why is Naruto's body emitting red chakra, your chakra?" Kyuubi's reply was bitter. "Sorry Sasuke, I didn't know it would happen. It seems the curse seal mark Orochimaru just put on Naruto has awakened the beast of me inside him. There's nothing I can do, but it seems my chakra has completely made that brat lose his mind. But partially it's my fault. I made him try and fight the seal, but since he was low on chakra he used my chakra to fight it." The two reacted and they seemed to have destroyed Naruto's reasoning and restraint. "We have to knock him out and seal the curse." Sasuke groaned. "Naruto, get a hold of yourself." When no reply came, the Uchiha took a deep breath and muttered, "Damn, Kyuubi, you owe me." Meanwhile, Orochimaru stared in horror at the scene unfolding. "What power? These genin, I must retreat, this is too much." Orochimaru, using all the rest of his strength, summoned a snake to carry him away. He turned one last time as he lay injured and bleeding on the snake at Sasuke, who was trying to restrain a wild Naruto. "Sasuke, you truly are your brother's brother. And you, Kyuubi, are truly dangerous. I look forward to our next meeting. If you can defeat my 3 Itonin, sound ninja." Back in the clearing, Sakura noticed Orochimaru escaping, though she realized Naruto, and more importantly Sasuke, needed help. She joined Sasuke as he dodged a sudden snap of red chakra towards him. "Sasuke, what's going on? What happened?" Sasuke and Sakura ducked as a fireball almost hit them. "Sorry, Sakura, I'll explain later. Right now, we need to get to Naruto. Here, I'll create a distraction. You get in there and knock him out. One punch should do it. No questions, just go." Sakura nodded as Sasuke leapt high. Naruto followed him and leapt high as well, shouting, "Kill, kill." Sasuke formed hand signs shouting, "Kaden, Gokakyu no Jutsu." Naruto easily dodged the attack and tackled Sasuke over. They hit the ground roughly, with Naruto on top. "Damn, I don't have any chakra left," thought Sasuke. The blonde genin still yelled, "Kill, kill," as Sasuke noticed the curse seal marks covering Naruto's face. The blonde genin opened his mouth and bit off a chunk of Sasuke's arm. Sasuke yelled in agony, and was about to lose his arm, when Naruto fell over on top of him, out cold. Sakura stood over the two of them, panting heavily with her arm extended. She had a huge gash over her stomach from one of Naruto's chakra slashes. "About time," whispered Sasuke, before passing out from blood loss low chakra. Sakura continued panting as she kneeled over. She took in the surrounding area. From Naruto's chakra alone, the clearing had just extended about 20 feet in all directions. "Naruto, what happened to you?" she thought, tears coming out. From nearby, a red-haired sand genin watched silently, while his clone trudged through the forest. "This is not good," whispered Gaara. Genin rumble. Sound versus leaf. Sakura pulled Sasuke's limp body and she hugged, while tears poured from her face. Sasuke, please wake up," she murmured as if her words would wake him. When she got no response, she hugged the Uchiha even tighter, now with tears coming down her face. She whispered into his ears, "I'm here now. Sasuke, please, wake up." When the boy remained motionless, she tried the same with Naruto. It was at this moment she noticed the faint marking on his neck, where he had been bitten. Scared, she touched the area. Almost immediately Naruto's body shook. Sakura snapped, remembering that her comrades were injured. She began to panic when Naruto's body began to continually shake and sweat began to pour from their pores. "Arg, why did this have to happen? What do I do?" Elsewhere, Haku. "Did you feel that?" Haku, disguised as a genin with long black hair and with a pale white face, turned around towards the area where Zabuza pointed. "Yes, Akiro-kun." It felt like a sudden burst of chakra. Zabuza frowned and turned to his other teammate, Zen. "What do you think?" Zen, a young genin with brown hair and pale green eyes, thought to himself. As if by habit, he crossed his arms and he began shaking his head. "Well, right now, if I feel it right, it's an evil feeling. It's about half a mile from our position. I think we should at least go check it out, but I don't think we should be too rash about it, Akiro. Somebody either got hurt, or is getting hurt. Let's wait until the battle is over, or until they're off guard and strike when they're exhausted." Zabuza frowned again, this time out of irritation for his new name. Since the name Zabuza was recognized by most Konoha shinobi, Naruto had suggested the name Akiro for him. It still bugged him to this day, living his double life. "Alright, Haku, let's go." The three nodded and leapt off towards the direction of Naruto and Team 7. Zen took the lead, with Haku and Zabuza trailing behind. "Zabuza," whispered Haku, so that Zen could not hear. It felt like Naruto. Zabuza inwardly cursed. "Damn them. We have to stop, and tell Zen. He has no idea," continued Haku. Zen suddenly stopped ahead, and smirked. "Hey, now this is interesting. Let's watch. Zabuza and Haku exchanged curious glances, and then looked down at the scene Zen watched with interest. I don't see anything very interesting, said Zabuza, looking confused. No, asked Zen, fine, I'll go check it out myself. I personally want to meet Mr. Hyuga. Zabuza and Haku exchanged a glance. Neither of them knew of Neji, but chose not to say anything. Fine, meet up with us, we're going on ahead to do a little reconnaissance of the area, said Zabuza. Zen nodded, ciao. Near Team 7, Neji-kun. It is now officially the second day, announced Tenten. Neji groaned as he sat up from the patch of grass he had been lying on. He yawned as he stretched, making sure he was in top form. Alright, Tenten, where's Lee? Tenten smiled and motioned across the river they stayed near. Neji's eyes wandered until he found Lee pushing out push-ups as if his life depended on it. Neji sighed, not again? When will he understand that we need to be fully prepared? Neji stood up and shouted Lee's name. The youthful genin did not respond, however, resulting in another sigh from Neji. The Hyuga drew a kunai and with a flick, sent it towards Lee's head, as the genin did another push-up. Tenten held her breath as she saw the kunai get closer to the seemingly unaware genin. Luckily enough, just as the kunai was about to hit him, Lee pushed off the ground into midair, letting the kunai pass underneath. Tenten let out a sigh of relief as Neji smirked, what a baka. Lee leapt over the water, Neji-kun. What is up that you have interrupted my daily 1,000 push-ups? Neji shook his head, this is what I have to put up with. 1 day has passed since the start of the exam. We've kept a low profile so far to secure food and water for at least a week. The others' teams no doubt have been wasting precious energy, so they are most likely resting right now. This is the perfect time to strike, and strike hard. Lee saluted Neji, hi, Neji-kun. Let's go. Neji held a hand, wait, Lee. Before we do anything, we should split and do a reconnaissance of the area. Gather any information you can, surrounding area, teams, traps, anything. If you find any teams, don't engage them. If they chase you, try to get away best you can, or send out a flare. In any case, said Neji, throwing the kunai into the ground, we'll meet back here in 30 minutes. Be sure you're here on time, got it? Yash, shouted Lee, saluting. Tenten nodded, got it. Good, replied Neji, let's go. At his word, all three genin leapt up and split, heading in different directions. Nearby Sakura slowly bent over Sasuke and Naruto's bodies. She had carried both boys into the shade of a giant tree near the water. Both boys were breathing, and to her surprise their injuries were rapidly healing. Sakura gently placed a wet rag on their foreheads, and then sat back exhausted. They're improving, finally. But both of them are still out cold. Sasuke, please wake up soon. You look terrible, especially from that attack from Naruto. I still can't believe it. Naruto, why did you attack us? And what's that mark on your neck where that guy bit you? In any case, I have to protect you, both, thought Sakura, with a determined look. Meanwhile, as Sakura lay near a tree, Zaku, Kin, and Dosu peered out from nearby shrubs. All three sound ninjas smiled evilly, upon seeing their targets. Ah, whispered Dosu, there they are, hee. Look, they're off guard, just as we expected, whispered Kin. Good, then we have time to prepare our attack, said Dosu. We can finally complete the mission Lord Orochimaru set for us. Our target is Sasuke Uchiha. We'll let them off until dawn, just as commanded. Zaku cracked his knuckles, what about the other two? If they interfere, can we waste them? Of course, replied Dosu. I have the perfect idea of attack, whispered Kin, pulling out a slip of paper. Dosu observed it and smirked. Good idea, not too long now. Back in the shade, Sakura lay panting near the tree. Fatigued, she smacked her head to stay awake. I have to stay awake, for their sake. She turned towards Sasuke and Naruto, and to her joy she noticed that both Naruto and Sasuke were beginning to move slightly. I'll let them sleep a little longer, she thought happily. Dream World. Meanwhile, Sasuke suddenly sat up. Where am I? An image appeared in front of him, taking the form of Kyuubi. Brat, looks like you're starting to regain some chakra if you can see me. Sasuke stared around in confusion at the empty space around him. Where's Naruto, and where are we? Kyuubi chuckled, geez, not one for small talk are you, boy? Sasuke shrugged and sat up, not really. Kyuubi nodded. Okay then, we have a problem, brat. Right now, we're in a dream world that I summoned your spirit to. It uses a small amount of chakra from your body, which thankfully you're regaining quickly. Anyway, the problem is, the curse mark. Memories of the battle flooded back into Sasuke's head. A mix of embarrassment and anger showed on Sasuke's face, before he sighed. I can't believe the Dobi jumped in front of Orochimaru's attack. Everything was going fine before that. It was pathetic, agreed Kyuubi, but remember this is Naruto we're talking about. The guy who acts first and thinks last. Sasuke scowled, don't judge him, he's not like that all the time. Kyuubi laughed, startling the Uchiha. I'm not judging him. I respect him for it. It was a brave thing to do, I was just saying it was inconvenient for my stupid container. Sasuke frowned. Well, that's obvious. What's your point? Well, the main thing I called you here was to ask if you knew of a way to negate the effects of the seal, or possibly remove it. Why couldn't you just talk to me telepathically? Asked Sasuke. Kyuubi rolled his eyes. Well, sure, all day trying to talk to an unconscious body. Dear me, why didn't I think of that? Sasuke waved his hands. Okay, I got your point. Kyuubi rolled his eyes again. Great, now can we move on? Sasuke mumbled something incoherent, though Kyuubi picked up the words, trying, and, small talk. The fox sighed. Can you remove the seal or not? Sasuke nodded his head slowly, though Kyuubi could see that the Uchiha was feeling uncertain. What? Asked Kyuubi. Is there a catch? Sasuke nodded. Yeah, first thing is, the jutsu I need to perform requires 2 people, and second thing it requires at least 10 hours to perform, with no room for mistakes. But, the third thing is the worst. Even if you perfectly perform the jutsu perfectly, there is still a 50% chance of death. Sakura leaned back, when suddenly a slight noise attracted her attention. Closing her eyes, Sakura inched her fingers toward her kunai pouch. Sweat poured from her fatigued body and she clenched the kunai tightly. As the sound got louder, Sakura suddenly stood. She immediately sweat dropped and she sighed, slightly disappointed. A squirrel, she thought, disbelievingly. Amused, Sakura smiled slightly, and turned to face the squirrel entirely. Hey, what are you up to, sneaking up on me and scaring me like that? The squirrel looked up in response to Sakura curiously, and then began to leap towards her. Alarmed, Sakura quickly threw her kunai knife, shouting, hey! The knife struck a spot right in front of the startled animal, which promptly turned tail and scrambled away. Sakura breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, that was close, way too close. Meanwhile, the 3 sound ninja frowned as they saw the squirrel run away. Zaku grunted in frustration. She's pretty tightly wound, that one. I wonder if she noticed the letter bomb we attached to the squirrel's back. Dosu shook his head. No, that's not it. If she had noticed the letter bomb, she would definitely be on guard now. Instead, she is calmly watching over her sleeping comrades. It's something else that made her drive the squirrel away. Zaku frowned, thinking, what then, Dosu? What's going on? Dosu smiled as he peered through the bushes. Well, that's the question, ain't it? We'll just have to get closer to find out. About time, what are we waiting for? Interrupted Ken. The 3 sound ninja nodded and all leapt upwards. Behind a tree, Gaara watched the unfolding scene, unblinkingly. He made no move to stop the sound 3 or help. Naruto, Uzumaki, he thought, what will you do? Nearby, Lee bounded from branch to branch swiftly, making little noise. He suddenly spotted a large branch and grabbed it, flipping around multiple times. The shaking caused multiple leaves to fall through the air. When he saw this, Lee quickly counted the number of leaves. He shook his fist and fire burned in his eyes. If I can catch all 20 of these leaves before they hit the ground, then Sakura will fall in love with me. But, if I miss even one, thought Lee as his head dropped, then my love for her will never be requited. She'll probably make fun of my hair too. In a burst of rage, Lee dove towards the leaves, and with tremendous speed, began nabbing leaves. He continued for several seconds before finally spotting the last one 2 feet from the floor. Lee pushed off from a nearby tree trunk. Last one, one more. He was just about to nab it, when he heard a noise. Forgetting about the leaf, Lee turned towards the source and spotted a squirrel. Something was smoking on its back. Lee's eyes widened as he recognized the letter bomb, and used his hand to push off the ground. He grabbed the squirrel, and quickly ripped the letter in half, letting it burn on his finger. His other hand held the poor creature as he stared at it with pity. Who would do such a thing to a creature? Elsewhere. Ooh, complained Ino, this sucks. Choji walked along with her munching on potato chips. I told you that you should have brought something to eat. No, Yubaka, said Shikamaru, slapping his head. She's talking about getting a scroll, how troublesome. Choji shrugged. You should have brought chips too, Shikamaru. Shikamaru sighed. When he heard a noise from the right, hide guys, he whispered. As if they had practiced for weeks, the 3 Konoha leapt simultaneously into the bushes nearby, just as Neji walked into the clearing from a line of trees. The Hyuga prodigy continued walking until he had nearly passed the rookies. Ino held her breath. He won't see us, he won't see us. Neji looked towards the bushes suddenly and said rather abruptly, come on out, unless you're too cowardly. Team 10's eyes widened. How'd he spot us so fast? Asked Choji. He's too good, whined Shikamaru. Shush, said Ino. Okay. Plan A. Hiding until the enemy has passed has failed. Time for Plan B, Shikamaru groaned. Great, he thought. Ino stepped out of the bushes followed by Choji and Shikamaru. Each put on odd poses. Oh, exclaimed Ino, putting on fake glee, what an honor. Lord Hyuga, Neji, last year's Rookie of the Year. Fancy meeting you here. Shikamaru threw his hands up. Oh wow. Can I get your autograph? He said, though not as excitingly as Ino. "Oh," said Neji, bored, "it's you three." Neji suddenly seemed distracted for he looked to the left. "Why don't you come out? Unless you are too cowardly too." Surprised Team 10 stared around the clearing until they heard a laugh. You're quick aren't you?" Zen stepped into the clearing, smiling crazily. "Wow, you're good. I didn't expect any genin to be able to see through my camouflage jutsu." Neji shrugged. "What do you want? Does that look in your eye mean you want to fight me?" Zen crossed his arms and seemed to think, "Oh, sounds fun, but I think I'll have to pass. Why bother, since I've already gotten 2 scrolls. I just want to see all the interesting little fights going on around. Everybody is different and have their own little tricks, so I'm going around seeing the talent." "But if you're suggesting you want to fight," said Zen, leaving the challenge open. Neji frowned, surprised at Zen's willingness to fight him. "Let me ask you this. What makes you think you can beat me?" Zen shrugged. "Like I said, everyone has their own little talents. You have your eyes and I have mine. Well, I have my own little tricks." Neji smirked. "HMPH. At least you're more interesting than these 3 losers over there." Ino suddenly shook her fist. "What did you say?" Neji glanced over. "Does that fist you're shaking mean you want to fight?" Ino suddenly lost her tough girl look, and shook her hands. "And no, I didn't mean to offend you." Neji shook his head. "Get lost. I wouldn't demean myself by taking a scroll from you. I'd be the laughingstock of the Konoha Chunin when I become one." Without any further comments or hesitation, Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji suddenly smiled, and vanished into the tree line, making sure not to look back. Meanwhile, Neji turned back to Zen. "They're like cockroaches." Zen laughed. "Oh, I don't know, don't judge them too quick. If they made it so far in this forest, then they must have some talents." Neji frowned at the words talents. "They have the talent of hiding, that is all. But I'm interested in discovering your talents, as you say. What's your name anyway?" Zen grinned. "That'd be Zen to you. Mr. Hyuga. I wouldn't underestimate the Nara kid though by the way, but it's nice to meet you anyway. I don't have too much time for chatting, so I'm off." Zen waved and then suddenly melted into the ground, disappearing into a puddle. Neji smiled. "So, that was a water clone. Then that meant," Neji's face suddenly darkened. "So, you were hiding there? Then you must be from the Yaru clan. From a nearby branch." Zen smiled at Neji, who could now see him. "Ah, caught me have you," whispered Zen. "Very interesting." Zen suddenly disappeared into the tree. Neji continued to frown as his Byakugan picked up Zen's retreating form. "Zen Yaru," he said slowly. Meanwhile Hikamaru stood panting by a tree they stopped at. While Choji munched on another bag of chips. Ino looked back behind them. "Phew, I don't think they chased us." Shikamaru sighed. "This is hopeless, and we're never going to find anyone weaker than us to take a scroll from." Ino fell down onto her knees. "Yeah, there's nobody." "Well, actually," said Shikamaru suddenly, "there's Naruto's team." Ino stood up suddenly, angry. "Are you crazy, Shikamaru? They'll cream us." Shikamaru cringed. "But they have," Ino interrupted. "They have Naruto and Sakura, 2 losers. But then they have Sasuke, the best of the best. None of us can beat him." Shikamaru shrugged. "Well, don't you wonder why he's with them? Maybe he's better in theory than in practice, you never know." He stopped, seeing the sudden murderous look in Ino's eyes. Shikamaru backed away a step. Okay. Never mind what I said." Shikamaru sighed softly, as Ino turned away with a huff. "Geez, whenever I mention that guy's name she goes off on me." Hey, interrupted Choji suddenly, dropping his bag of chips. "Sasuke and Naruto are lying unconscious and it looks like Sakura is trying to protect them from those sound ninja." Shikamaru and Ino turned to see where Choji was pointing. When they saw the scene their eyes widened. "Oh. Sakura, it's about time I changed the towels again," thought Sakura, as she removed the rags from Sasuke and Naruto's foreheads. "So," interrupted a voice, startling Sakura, "you've been standing guard all night have you?" Sakura froze and gently set down a fresh towel on Naruto's head. She then stood up, and turned towards the voices. She noticed their headbands and immediately jumped back, in terror. "Why you're with HM aren't you?" Dosu and Zaku exchanged a glance. "Sorry, we don't know what you're talking about, little girl," said Zaku. "Just get out of our way, so we can fight the Uchiha over there." Sakura didn't budge. "No way. Sasuke already fought that creepy snake guy Orochimaru. I won't let any of you near him." Dosu started in surprise. "What? You heard me," replied Sakura, drawing a kunai. "You're not getting anywhere near Sasuke." Zaku suddenly leapt down. "I don't know how you know about Orochimaru, but after hearing all of that, I think I want to kill you." "Dosu?" Dosu shrugged, his mind elsewhere. "Whatever, Zaku." Zaku nodded and turned to Sakura. He pointed one of his hands at her. Sakura glanced at the hole, immediately realizing he would most likely shoot something out of it. Before anyone could move however, Dosu suddenly snapped out of his thoughts and grabbed Zaku from stepping forward. "Wait, Zaku." Zaku glared at his teammate irritated, though not entirely angry. "Why?" Dosu pointed at the ground. "Look, freshly turned stones, exposed soil. Grass in places it would never grow, someone's been setting traps." But, said Dosu, turning to Sakura, they were very poorly down, seeing how obvious they were. Sakura snarled in response, as Kin laughed, amateur. Let's make this quick, said Dosu, suddenly leaping up. Sakura grinned, got you. With the kunai in her hand, she cut a rope, releasing an enormous log from above the sound 3. Startled, Dosu looked up. What? The trap was from above. Unfortunately, the sound genin soon overcame his initial surprise and swung his arm, sending out a massive sound wave that crushed the log into tiny bits. Sakura gasped as her entire trap fell to pieces, leaving its victims unharmed. The situation was worse, as Sakura realized they were coming straight for her. Too bad, said Dosu, almost tauntingly, maybe if you were a little smarter. His words were suddenly cut off as Lee appeared from nowhere shouting, Konoha senpu. Lee's kick combination knocked all 3 sound genin backwards, while Sakura stared up at Lee, startled. Dosu landed, skidding along the ground, while his companions struggled off their behinds. Who are you? He asked. Lee smirked as he got into his trademark fighting stance. Konoha's handsome green beast, Rock Lee. Sakura stared at Lee wondrously. It's you. Why are you here? Where did you come from? Lee smiled as he turned to look at Sakura. I came, because you needed me. And I always will, Sakura blinked, as she tried to understand what she had just been told. Lee suddenly turned grinned. Actually, he said, dropping the squirrel on his shoulder, it was all thanks to my little friend here. A tear fell from Sakura's eyes, as she finally realized how kind-hearted Lee was. I'll never insult him again, she thought to herself. Sakura blushed. I don't know how to thank you, Lee, you're a real lifesaver. Lee grinned. I promised you when we met, didn't I? Sakura gave him a questioning look, as she racked her memories of their first encounter with Lee. She suddenly remembered Lee's vow. I'll protect you, Sakura, until death do us apart, said Lee, suddenly, and now I'm making good that promise. The words hit Sakura like a hammer, and she dropped her head, remembering all the times she insulted and laughed at Lee. Lee lightly nudged her. Hey, Sakura, it's alright. Sakura smiled. Thanks, Lee, she thought. Dosu laughed. Isn't this romantic? But I'm sorry it'll have to end. It can't be helped. Dosu turned to Zaku. Zaku, you can take little Sasuke. I'll end this guy right now. As Zaku smiled, Dosu suddenly vanished, out of Sakura's view, jumping high up. As he pulled his sleeve away from his arm, he smiled at Lee's stance. This guy is obviously skilled in taijutsu, he'll make an excellent plaything. Lee immediately took note of Dosu's jump and turned to see Sakura's condition. She doesn't look like she has much fight in her. I'll have to take them out one by one then, while protecting her, but with my strength, I should be able to do it. Master Guy, I feel it now, the condition has been met. I'm protecting the one I love with my life. To Sakura's astonishment, Lee began to remove the bandages from his arms. That technique, he never showed us it. I wonder what it is. As Dosu came down, Lee suddenly crouched. Dosu blinked. What's he doing? Konoha senpu, shouted Lee, just as Dosu began his punch. The sound genin was unprepared for the sudden counter, and was kicked in the chin. As he flew upwards, Lee vanished and reappeared underneath him using Cage Buyo. Here it is, thought Sakura, excitedly, the technique. Dosu shifted his head. Where'd he go? Hey, said Lee, from behind him, startling the genin, I'm not done with you yet. As Lee wrapped his bandages around his torso, as if wrapping him like a mummy. Ah good, what's he doing, thought Dosu, as he was flipped upside down. Zaku stopped in his attempt to attack Sakura. Fear was all over his face as he heard Lee shouted, Omit Renge. To Zaku's further dismay, Lee began to rapidly rotate, and it was clear he was going to pile drive Dosu into the ground. Oh crud, he's wide open with no chance to defend himself. I gotta do something, noted Zaku. He slammed his hands into the dirt and sent his sound waves out, forming a soft cushion under Dosu. At the same moment, Lee and Dosu formed a second larger crater upon impact with the ground. Lee quickly got up and resumed his defensive position in front of Sakura, while Dosu lay motionless on the ground. Lee groaned slightly. This does not feel good. Is he dead? Asked Sakura frightfully. Her question was answered, as Dosu suddenly began to get on his knees. Phew, I was in time, then, thought Zaku. Lee frowned. Oh no, that last attack just toasted me, I've got nothing left, whispered Lee. Dosu, finally back on his feet, shook his head. What a terrifying attack. I managed to land on a soft pillow of soil, and I was still almost wiped out. But, now it's my turn, said Dosu pulling up his sleeve once again. Lee frowned. This is not good. Dosu suddenly charged and swung at Lee, who quickly leapt back. Sakura smiled, but it quickly died, as Lee suddenly convulsed and vomited. And no way, choked out Lee. I dodged it. Dosu chuckled. My sound attack get to you? Lee stared at Dosu confused while clutching his ear. Sound? Dosu nodded. Let me explain. This appliance here on my arm. Using it I can amplify sound waves. There's no possible defense against it. Sakura blinked. What are you talking about? It's sound. Do you understand the fundamental nature of sound? Sakura blinked again. Vibrations. Dosu nodded. Precisely. When you hear a sound, it's actually those vibrations displacing the air, which trembles against your eardrum. In the human eardrum, the tympanic membrane ruptures when exposed to sound levels in excess of 150 fons. Moreover, if the sound is powerful enough to upset the liquid within the semicircular canals of the deepest inner ear, then it becomes impossible to maintain balance. Sakura glanced at Lee, who continued to shake and tremble. So, continued Dosu, since it'll be a while before your equilibrium returns. And by then, said Dosu, raising his arms, it'll be a little too late. It's such a shame though, your taijutsu attacks are brilliant. It's just no use against our sound. You did pretty well though, said Zaku, praising Lee. It's rare for a foe to force Dosu to reveal the nature of his techniques. Actually, it's never happened at all. But now the tide has turned against you. Dosu smiled. Enough talk, I'm ending this, said Dosu suddenly, charging. Lee gritted his teeth. Darn it. Dosu swung a second time, while Lee, who was still off balance, could only block. This time, the genin was punched back by the force of the blow, and did not stand again. Dosu grinned. Now, for the coup de grace, he said, raising his arms for the kill. No you don't, shouted Sakura suddenly, throwing her shuriken knives. Dosu paused in his attack and raised his arm. The shuriken bounced off his metal appliance. You're getting to be a nuisance, Kin. Sakura gasped as Kin suddenly appeared behind, and grabbed her by the hair. My, taunted the sound kunoichi, what delicate hair. What jutsu made this? The deep conditioning jutsu, she said, mockingly. Kin suddenly slapped Sakura. You should worry more about your training, than your looks. Then maybe you wouldn't be in this situation. Oh, said Kin, as Sakura slumped down, morally defeated. Did I touch a nerve there? Maybe watching your friends die will take your mind off things. Bushes nearby. Hey, said Choji frightened. Running away looks like a good idea right now. Those guys are getting creamed. Shikamaru backed away and took a breath, turning to Ino. The blonde kunoichi seemed frozen with fright. Ino, what are we going to do? Snapped from her thoughts, Ino turned abruptly. What? Why are you asking me? Shikamaru suddenly gasped. Ino, what is the matter? Sakura's getting, Ino. There won't be a Sakura if we just stand here and do nothing. Ino anxiously looked at Sakura. What do I do? Ino, weren't you friends with her at one point? Ino blinked at Shikamaru. What? Ino suddenly remembered the time long ago when she used to be friends with Sakura. She suddenly cleared her head. Why am I suddenly remembering that? Ino, said Shikamaru, watching Sakura sit helplessly. You better decide quickly. Inside the clearing, Sakura was lost in her own thoughts. I'm such a letdown, she said, always watching Sasuke, scolding Naruto. But they always were there to protect me. Even Lee came when I was helpless. And what have I done? Nothing. Just get in there, thought Sakura sadly. But now, said Sakura, beginning to feel a sudden sense pride. Now it's time I do something for them. It's time they watch my back, she thought, drawing a kunai. Kin watched the move, amused. Please, no trick you pull will work on me. Sakura blinked, letting her tears fall. Oh yeah, you really think so? Kin watched amazed as Sakura took the kunai and cut off the hair she had been growing for years. Ino saw the move as well and gasped, Sakura, you didn't. Now, free, Sakura turned sharply, now it's my move. Kin, get her, shouted Zaku, while Dosu watched amused. Kin nodded, right, she shouted, before landing a sharp side kick on Sakura. Unfortunately, to the kunoichi dismay, Sakura was replaced by a log. What, kawarimi no jutsu? Zaku grinned suddenly, as Sakura appeared to his right. Hee, look at that. You're coming right at me. How foolish. Sakura threw her kunai, though Zaku sent it straight back with his sound attack. Sakura vanished again, as her own kunai hit her. It's obvious, said Zaku, you're above me. Zaku flung a kunai at the kunoichi, and watched as it hit her, thinking it was another kawarimi. Zaku looked down. Now where are you coming from next? The next thing he felt was a sharp kunai in his back, and the smell of blood. He turned head to see Sakura behind him. So, that was the real one, said Zaku. You are dead. Zaku, ignoring the pain in his back, turned suddenly and pushed Sakura away. Ha! Have you? He shouted, taking aim at Sakura, who was off balance. Before he could fire, a voice came from the right. Baika no jutsu, multi-size jutsu. Nikuden Sensha, human tank bullet, shouted Choji. Ga! Exclaimed Zaku, as Choji, now enlarged, rolled towards him. The sound genin leapt out of the way, while Dosu Choji continued rolling along. Dosu, now recovered from his initial surprise, made ready to attack Shui with his arm, but suddenly found he was unable to move. What? Why can't I move? From the bushes, Shikamaru stepped out. My friends are trapped. I call it the cage main, shadow possession jutsu. Avenued, sounds defeat. Dosu struggled and tried to will his body to move. I can't move, why is that? Shikamaru smiled. Why don't you take a look at your shadow? Dosu's eyes widened as he looked down. It's his shadow. it's right on top of mine. Meanwhile, Zaku dodged another attempt by Choji to flatten him. What kind of art is that? It's probably not even an art, just a fat guy rolling around. He watched as the leaf genin tried to stop and turned and grinned. Now's my chance. Aiming his hands, Zaku shouted, Zankuha. From the holes in his palms, air rushed out swiftly towards Choji, who had now turned. Unfortunately to Zaku's surprise, his attack didn't do as much as scratch him. Zaku cursed inwardly, with that kind of rotation, my air pressure is practically useless. Maybe ultrasonic waves. Before he could think further, Choji suddenly leapt into the air. Stunned by surprise, Zaku stared at the figure above him. Flying? How? It was then realization that he was underneath Choji dawned upon him. Zaku leapt out of the way, though he was too late to entirely dodge the impact of Choji's fall. The sound genin flew backwards and crashed into a rock. Dosu, what are you doing? Shouted Kin, as Dosu was forced into a weird pose by Shikamaru. It's my Kagemain no Jutsu, shadow possession technique. I force my shadow to attach to your friends over there, forcing him to imitate every move I make. Naturally I must be able to extend my own shadow as I please, he explained. Shikamaru grinned as Choji suddenly reverted back to his normal size. The plump ninja slowly stood, shaking. Man, that makes my head spin. Ino, shouted Shikamaru, as he did another random pose, making Dosu imitate him. The girl is the only one left. Ino glanced at Kin, who as of yet, hadn't made a move to help her teammates. You got it, Shikamaru. Take care of my body while I'm gone, replied Ino, forming a hand sign. Kin got into a battle position, unsure what her opponent would do. Gotcha, replied Shikamaru, though it was drowned out by Ino's Shintenshin no Jutsu, mind transfer technique. Kin's eyes widened, though she couldn't react for suddenly she felt herself getting pushed out of her own body. Kin, under control by Ino, suddenly drew a kunai knife. Kin, what are you doing? Demanded Zaku, who was slowly standing up. You're finished, replied Ino. Right now, I have control of Kin's body. Whatever I will I can make her do. So, said Ino, raising the knife to Kin's body, if either of you make a move, your teammate is as good as dead. Now, when I say so, Shikamaru will release you. Then you will leave your scrolls here and leave this area. When I can no longer sense your chakras, I'll release Kin. Dosu exchanged a glance with Zaku, and both sound ninjas grinned. Startled, Ino stepped back. What do they think is so funny? Do it, Zaku, said Dosu, with malice in his voice. Zaku raised an arm, pointing his palm at Ino, in Kin's body. Sakura gulped. Ino, watch out, he's gonna. Her words were drowned out as Zaku shouted, Zankuha. Slicing the air, Ino, shouted Sakura, who remained on the ground, watch out. Ino, shocked that Zaku was actually attacking, froze. When she regained her senses, it was too late and the blast hit her dead on. Kin's body flew through the air, getting tossed by the wind like a rag doll. When Ino landed, she coughed up blood and lay unmoving. To Dosu's surprise and entertainment, he noticed a similar trail of blood on Ino's real body as her body shook. Ino, as Kin suddenly raised her head, what unbelievable lowlifes, to wound your own comrade, before falling into Shikamaru's arms unconscious. Zaku chuckled, you underestimated us, bad mistake. Our objective is not some stupid scroll. Nor do we have any interest in your infantile exams. The leaf genin all blinked surprisingly, waiting for clarification. We're after Sasuke, finished Dosu when Zaku remained silent. Shocked, the four-leaf genin glanced over at Sasuke, who lay near Naruto and Lee. Dosu suddenly smiled, as he forcefully moved his arm. Spotting this, Shikamaru involuntarily flinched. Oh no, still smiling, Dosu now moved his leg. Blast, thought Shikamaru, I'm almost at my time limit. So, said Dosu. Your little trick only lasts for 5 minutes at a time before your chakra runs out, asked Dosu, as Shikamaru's shadow suddenly retracted. Dosu glanced at Ino, and by the looks of it, if we damage Kin, while that girl's jutsu is active, the real body takes damage as well, and that means, Shikamaru gulped, realizing what Dosu was trying to imply. We can just kill Kin ourselves, haha, finished Dosu maliciously, pulling his sleeve up from his right arm. Damn, thought Shikamaru, this doesn't look too good. Naruto, Sasuke, Lee, and Ino are out of it, and Sakura doesn't look like she has much left. And Choji and I are practically drained of chakra, so he'll waste his next. Oh man, this is troublesome. As Dosu turned towards Kin, a voice cut through the silence. You're despicable, you know that. Dosu stopped and looked upwards at the new voice. On a high tree top, stood Neji and Tenten, both of whom looked angry. Neji pointed with his finger at Dosu. You bucolic entities think you're all that just because of your sonic powers were strong enough to take down these novices. Dosu snarled in response. What did you say? Zaku walked over to Dosu, joining in the conversation. Again you vermin just keep crawling out of the woodwork, he said, annoyed and apparently unfazed by Neji's touch act. Neji shrugged as he ignored the comment, preoccupied with Lee, who had woken. Neji-kun, stuttered the taijutsu user. Neji sighed. Lee, looks like you blew it. Lee, what happened? Whispered Tenten, concerned. Sakura, realizing the connection between Neji and Lee, suddenly smiled. Those are his teammates. Wow, thank God they're here. Neji, after confirming Lee's condition, suddenly pointed to Dosu. Hey, that kid down there with the bowl haircut belongs to us. You hurt him, said Neji, closing his eyes. Now you answer to us. Upon saying this, the Hyuga prodigy reopened his eyes with the Byakugan activated. Dosu's eyes narrowed, his eyes, they seemed to penetrate everything. Sakura gaped at the eyes, comparing them to the Sharingan and Naruto's Dujutsu. Lee weakly sat up. No one can defeat Neji, he is the #1 genin of the Leaf Village. He is even stronger than I, so we don't have much to worry about. Zaku laughed hearing the remark, that pipsqueak up there? No way, Dosu, let's waste him quickly. Neji remained high on the tree branch. I'm giving you one warning, you despicable fools. Surrender now, or I'll give you everything I've got. Dosu smirked. You talk a lot, Leaf Ninja. Why don't you stop posturing and come down here? Neji smirked in response. Fine, Neji suddenly stopped, and looked down. He smiled, seeing the sight. Hey, looks like I don't have to. Someone's going to do it for me, said Neji pointing behind them. Dosu and Zaku whirled around to spot Zen standing behind them. Will it never end, said Zaku, almost angrily. It's another Leaf Ninja. They're so cowardly. They think in numbers they'll defeat us. Dosu glanced at Neji, and then at Zen. This is a problem. I didn't expect so much resistance. Kin is out of the picture, so it's us against 3 of them. And the more we waste time, the more time they have to recover and send more guys in. Neji suddenly leapt down from his branch, landing near Zen. I didn't get a chance to see your techniques earlier, and your water clone almost threw me off. Zen chuckled. I guess it's true what they say about the Byakugan, it can see through everything. Neji grinned. I think 2 against 1 is a little against my liking. Now, what do you say we eliminate these losers in front of us? Hee, just what I was thinking, said Zen. Zaku snarled at them. Why don't you stop talking? It's starting to become irritating. Let's fight. Zen and Neji remained where they stood, while Dosu teased about time. Let's see how good you 2 really are. Meanwhile, Kin's body shook as Ino's spirit left it. When she returned to her body, Ino shook her head. Despicable bastards. Shikamaru sighed. These exams are becoming too troublesome, he said, watching the battle between Neji and Zen and Dosu and Zaku. We should have waited a year before entering. Ino suddenly got angry. What? And let Sakura become Chunin first? Or get to be with Sasuke all by herself? No way. Sakura smiled weakly from behind them, while Ino grinned at her. Sakura-chan, interrupted Lee weakly, as Tenden picked up his body. I'm sorry, he said depressed. Sakura smiled at the depressed genin. Hey, Lee, thanks for what you did. You're a real lifesaver. I'm sorry about what I said earlier about you. You're a great guy. This seemed to cheer Lee up, for he almost leapt up from Tenten's shoulder, as he cried, Wahoo, before groaning and falling unconscious. Meanwhile, back in the fight, Dosu chased Neji around, while Zaku impatiently tried to blast Zen with his Zankuha. Damn it, stop moving, so I can hit you, shouted Zaku, sending blast after blast from both hands. Oh, said Zen mockingly, that's what you were trying to do. Sorry, fine, I'll stay still. To Zaku's surprise, Zen stood 10 feet in front of him, tauntingly beckoning to try and attack. In anger, Zaku aimed both hands. Zankuha. The blasts of air came from both hands, this time straight for Zen, who stood in its path unflinchingly. The blast hit Zen full on, and when the dust cleared, the brown-haired genin was nowhere in sight. Zaku smirked. HN. Blasted that kid away. Oh, really? Said a voice from behind him, that sent shivers up Zaku's spine. Not quite sure how you managed that if I'm right here. Zaku whirled around, as Zen jumped back. The brown-haired genin yawned. Want to try again? Zaku growled in response and took aim again. Take this, Zaku. Stop. Zaku froze, as Dosu grabbed his arm. Dosu, what are you doing? Don't you get it? Replied Dosu, as he roughly removed his hand. He's toying with you, and you're showing him all your moves, while tiring yourself out. Zaku grunted in response. Just give me another shot. I'll hit him next time. Dosu forcefully shoved Zaku. Calm down, he shouted, or haven't you noticed that you're attacking a bunchin? The realization shocked Zaku, as his arms dropped. Meanwhile, Zen grinned. So, you figured it out, huh? He asked Dosu as Neji landed. The Hyuga was looking slightly frustrated. Hey, I think I'm going to retreat from this fight. Zen glanced at him. I see, then maybe I should as well. And I didn't even get to use my favorite techniques. I was going to try them on that baka over there. Zaku grew red as he tried to step forward. Oh yeah, I'm right here, you punk. Why don't you give me your best shot? Are you too afraid? While Neji vanished from view, Zen shrugged. I don't need to, because that guy over there is starting to come around. And boy, He doesn't look too happy. I think he's mad at you guys, so I'll just be on my way to rejoin my team. See you around, said Zen with a sweat drop, before hastening away. As he left the clearing he felt the sudden explosion of chakra. Well, that does it. I'm not hanging around other people's battles anymore. Meanwhile, Dosu and Zaku stared around them, confused. I don't see anything, Dosu. What was that guy talking about? Dosu carefully used his senses on the area around him. By the time he found out exactly what was headed in his direction, it was too late to move. Oh crap. While the two sound genin had been preoccupied with Neji and Zen, Naruto had slowly woken from his unconsciousness. Oh, moaned the Kyuubi vessel. Where the hell am I? Naruto shook his head, as his head cleared and his sight slowly returned. When he could fully see again, he turned towards the voice, and saw Sakura. The first thing he noted was that the kunoichi was in pretty bad shape and that her hair was considerably shorter. Sakura, you're hurt. Sakura scratched her head as she tried to find the right words to explain to Naruto what happened. Before she could reply, Choji, Ino, and Shikamaru arrived on the scene. Naruto, stated Shikamaru, surprised. You're awake. Naruto noticed the injuries on his teammates, the unconscious Lee, and Neji looking grim on a branch high above. Immediately he felt a sudden surge of anger. He ignored a mysterious pain on his neck and turned towards Team 10. Shikamaru, who did this to you guys? Who hurt you? Sakura's eyes narrowed at Naruto's tone. She didn't particularly like the tone he was using. And Naruto, asked Sakura, cautiously, are you okay? Naruto evaded the question entirely, and seemed to get angrier. Sakura, who did this to you? Tell me, because they're going to pay. Sakura started when she noticed the purplish glow in Naruto's eye and the malice in Naruto's voice. Behind him, Team 10 stared, gaping at Naruto. This is, Naruto, thought Shikamaru, astounded. There's something different about him though. What's going on? Sakura gulped as she asked her question again. And Naruto, what's wrong? Naruto growled. I want to know who did this to you. Ino suddenly grabbed Naruto. Hey, don't talk to Sakura like that. Naruto seemingly burned Ino's hand, for the girl removed it, after crying, ouch. Tell me, who hurt you? Slowly, Ino pointed towards the three sound genin that were now talking to Neji and Zen. Naruto whirled around, and upon seeing the sound headbands, he immediately growled. Wait here, he said, evilly, I'm going to rip them apart. Kill, stunned. The four-leaf genin could only watch as a dark purple, orange aura covered Naruto. It was at this point, Neji suddenly felt the chakra presence, and upon seeing Naruto glaring daggers in their direction thought best to retreat to his team, who awaited him on a high branch. As Zen was just leaving, Gaara followed him. I better get out of here, thought the sand genin. Back in the clearing, Naruto suddenly held one palm towards the sky. Immediately, a bright flash of light appeared on his hand, before bursting into black flames. Naruto lowered his hand, and took aim at Zaku and Dosu who whirled around in confusion. Before firing a blast of fire from his hand, the leaf genin nearby heard an eerie and sadistic laugh that made their hearts skip a beat. Dream World, yo, we have a problem, said Kyuubi suddenly. Sasuke looked up from his thoughts. What? Is it those sound genin? Did they hurt Sakura? Started Kyuubi, twitching. Well, actually they've been there a while. Sasuke leapt onto his feet. What about Sakura? I swear, no brat, shouted Kyuubi, impatiently. Stop yelling. Your little girlfriend is doing just fine. Sasuke sat back down immediately. Good. Who saved her? Kyuubi chuckled. What makes you think anyone saved her? Sasuke evaded the question. Who saved her? He asked again, though this time, he sounded almost as if he demanded an answer. Kyuubi sighed. To cut the story short, a lot of people came. Then Naruto woke. What? Interrupted Sasuke. Naruto's awake. Yes, said Kyuubi irritably, if you kept your mouth shut, maybe I can finish. Sasuke shrugged, though he motioned for Kyuubi to continue. Naruto's a little mad right now, said Kyuubi, and I think we discussed what happens now, if Naruto gets mad. Sasuke's face darkened. Get me out of here, wake me up. Now, Kyuubi took a glance at Sasuke, and what will you do? I can't just place you in his path, not without a plan. Right now, my stupid container can barely tell between friend and foe. If you try to stop him, he didn't get to finish as Sasuke yelled. Right, barely, but barely is something. I can get through to him, but you have to let me out of here. And if you can't get through to him, asked Kyuubi coldly, then what will you do? Then, I'll have to temporarily seal his chakra. Kyuubi stared at Sasuke confused. Though the Uchiha waved his hand, no een. If I do that, then it'll be too late to try and talk Naruto out of it, hurry up. Kyuubi growled in response, we'll talk about your attitude later, you must remember who you're speaking to. Kyuubi suddenly raised his head, Kai, release. Sasuke suddenly fell over and felt as if he were dropping through an endless hole. He continued to fall, though finally noticed a faint light. Willing himself to go towards it, Sasuke noticed the light grow bright and larger, until it finally engulfed him. At this moment, his eyes shot open and he sat up. The first thing he noticed was Naruto, now so engulfed in chakra he was blocked from view. Sasuke stood, just as Sakura turned around. Sasuke. Oh, Sasuke, it's Naruto, what do we do? Sasuke gently patted Sakura back. Hey, relax. I'm going to fix this right now. Where are the sound ninjas? Sakura winced at the name. They're hiding somewhere right now. They just took a beating from Naruto's fire attack. I didn't even know he had a fire attack. Sasuke's face darkened again. Alright then, wait here for me. And don't let anybody near Naruto. Sasuke took off before Sakura could reply, forming a hand sign as he ran. He began to hiss and apparently it was the words to activate a jutsu, for he began to glow green. Neji looked down upon the scene, using his Byakugan. That chakra, both Uchihas and that boys are immense. Where is their power coming from? Tenten frowned at the sight below them. Torn down trees, craters, flashes of black fire. All were caused by Naruto, who was destroying everything with just his aura. What is he doing? She asked suddenly, pointing at Sasuke, who was making a leap for the Naruto. Neji frowned, unable to answer. Naruto-kun, whispered Lee, I did not know you were so strong. Hiding behind Sakura, Choji, Shikamaru, and Ino watched horrified. Hey, Shikamaru, is that really Naruto out there? Tell me we're all dreaming and that we'll wake up soon. Without turning his head from Naruto, Shikamaru pinched Ino. Nope, I think we're in a troublesome situation. Choji nodded his head, while rapidly shoveling down potato chips. This is so exciting, he thought. On the other side of the clearing, Dosu tended to Zaku's injuries as they did their best to keep moving. Moaned Zaku, what happened? Dosu frowned, I don't know, you were hit by some kind of black flame. It came from that thing over there that seems to be hunting us. Zaku stared in horror as the now black aura surrounding Naruto approached. That bastard, I'll give him my super Zankuha. Dosu's eyes widened, you fool. No, before Dosu could stop him, Zaku unleashed the Zankuha in Naruto's direction. Dosu's sweat dropped, and then quickly leapt away just as fire engulfed Zaku. As Dosu looked on helplessly at Zaku, who was screaming in agony, Naruto's aura died away and the orange-clad ninja appeared over Zaku. Dosu immediately noticed black marks on Naruto's face and arms. For the first time the sound genin was lost for words, and truly confused. Those marks. There's no doubt about. Only Orochimaru gives those. What is he playing at? We were supposed to ambush Sasuke, but you got there first Orochimaru, and planted your cursed seal on one of them. Meanwhile, as Zaku lay on the ground smoking, Naruto stood over him while the observers watched. Sakura, who had remained frozen throughout Naruto's rampage, suddenly shouted, Naruto, stop. For a moment, Naruto's eyes returned to their original color and for a moment he paused, looking around. Zaku took the opportunity to throw 3 kunai at his face. Naruto turned slightly as the 3 kunai flew at him. Before they got any closer, Naruto snapped his fingers, and the kunai burst into flames and melted. Zaku gulped, what are you? Why you? Naruto raised an arm. You hurt Sakura, I kill you. Zaku raised his arms in defense as sharp nails grew from Naruto's fingers, while Dosu closed his eyes in prayer. Naruto's blow never came however, as he suddenly felt a sharp poke at his neck, and was engulfed in green chakra. Naruto groaned as his curse marks faded away, and then fell back into unconsciousness. As Naruto fell over, Zaku watched as Sasuke stared at him pitilessly. You're a pretty lucky guy, stated Sasuke to Zaku, who had been holding his breath, you should be dead, yet you get away with only a few broken ribs, some badly burned arms, and a burned face, and 2 badly crushed and chewed legs. Sasuke smirked amused. Lucky, he repeated. Dosu suddenly appeared in front of Zaku. Sasuke smirked, oh yeah, there was one more. Maybe I should wake my friend here, challenged Sasuke. Dosu's eyes widened in fear, as he stared down at Naruto's unconscious body. Looks pretty knocked out, thought Dosu. Still, I'm not going to take any more chances. Maybe, just maybe we've been saved. Dosu turned back to regard Sasuke. Your team is pretty tough, said Dosu cautiously, not wanting to anger Sasuke. Obviously, you guys are pretty tough, especially you Sasuke. Cut to the point, said Sasuke menacingly. Dosu gulped and drew out his scroll. Here, take this, as a token of my admiration, and as some reparation for your troubles. Also, please allow us to leave in peace. After what we tried to do, I know it may seem like a lot to ask, but something big is afoot that merits further investigation and confirmation. Sasuke didn't move, as Dosu picked up Zaku, who groaned. I give you my word on behalf of us all, that if you let us go now, then the next time we face you, we will stay until the battle's end, no matter how poorly we fare, nor the consequences of the battle. Meanwhile, the remainder of the Leaf Genin had come over to hear Dosu's words for themselves. Sasuke regarded Dosu with cold eyes, before turning to Sakura. I think Sakura should decide. Considering all you've done to her. Sakura gulped as Sasuke mentioned her name. Aye. The kunoichi dropped her head, and after a pause she said, "Let them go." Sasuke grunted, "You heard her, now get out of my sight." Dosu nodded, "Right away." The bandaged ninja picked up Kin's body and slowly stumbled towards the tree line. As he reached it, Sakura suddenly shouted, "Hey wait!" Dosu turned back to regard Sakura. "I want to know who Orochimaru is, and what he did to Naruto, and why." Dosu paused before answering. "He inserted a curse mark on your friend's neck that will give him a dark evil chakra. As for who and why, I don't know, we were just following orders," he replied, before disappearing from view. Sakura sat back, deep in thought before turning to Naruto. Sasuke was examining the unconscious body, and murmuring words. "Is he going to be alright?" asked Sakura. "This is troublesome, are you sure he's not going to wake up crazy again?" asked Shikamaru, peeking at Naruto from over Choji's shoulder. Sasuke sighed, "We'll have to wait until he wakes up. As long as nobody angers him, we should be fine." "That seal on his neck NK," said Sasuke before stopping. He had just about talked about the Kyuubi seal. "And what?" prompted Ino. "Ah, never mind," said Sasuke, shaking his head, "but that seal is connected to Naruto's emotions. If he feels angry, then those cursed seal marks come up and we have a crazy Naruto on the loose. But that's until I can see if I can't remove that seal." "You're right, Shikamaru," said Sasuke as he sighed deeply, "this is troublesome." Meanwhile, Neji remained high on his branch. "Uchiha Sasuke," he thought, "I don't know how, but somehow you managed to defeat that unnatural chakra that came from that boy. I had no idea the Uchiha clan was this strong, Hey Sakura." Sakura turned to see Ino walking towards her with a pair of scissors. "I'll cut your hair to even up the ends if you'd like." Sakura forced a smile. "Isn't that sweet?" as Ino cut Sakura's hair. Both girls stood in an awkward silence. Sakura finally couldn't take it anymore, so she said, "HMPH, so I guess we'll be splitting up then, huh, Ino pig?" Ino stifled a chuckle. "HN. We'll probably have to come save your sorry butt again." Both girls chuckled. Neji, Tenten, and Lee passed by on their way out, with the former two helping the latter. Sakura noticed them pass, and Sakura called out to Lee, "Hey, Lee." Lee turned around and stared at Sakura, gawking. "Lee," started Sakura, before lowering her eyes, trying to find the right words. After gulping a few times, she looked up again, smiling, "Thank you, La," again. Lee was dumbfounded. "Huh?" Sakura smiled. "Thanks to your help, I was able to make some kind of breakthrough. My skills have been taken to a whole new level." Lee began to get teary-eyed, as Tenten shook her head. "Sakura-chan," murmured Lee, between sniffs. "I am not worthy." It was Sasuke and Neji-kun. Lee dropped his head, while the others stared at him curiously. It seemed so natural. Neji and Sasuke-kun. Both prodigies from a renowned clan. That both would have terrifying techniques and unmatched power. That they could defeat the same three-sound ninja that beat me senseless. "No, Lee," interrupted Sakura. "The only reason you were defeated was because you were trying to protect me. You did great." Lee looked up surprised, and a small grin tugged at his lips. Tenten smiled. "Lee, you big idiot." "Sakura-chan," said Lee, finally, standing up and looking up. "The fighting lotus of Konoha will bloom once again. When we meet again, Sakura, I'll be a stronger man, I promise." Sakura giggled in response, "Yeah," while Tenten and Ino exchanged an awkward glance. Meanwhile, Neji stood by the trees. "Let's go," he said. Lee stood with Tenten's help, and the two made their way to Neji. Neji nodded and turned, heading into the darkness of the woods, his mind racing with the upcoming challenges he would undoubtedly face. Moments later, Choji, Ino, and Shikamaru stood at another end of clearing and said their goodbyes to Sakura and Sasuke, who carried Naruto on his shoulder. "HMPH, you guys are troublesome," said Shikamaru, as he turned into the forest. Choji followed, munching on chips, not bothering to waste time speaking. Last Ino followed, after shaking hands with Sakura and giving Sasuke a hug, which startled the Uchiha. "By then, billboard brow, Sasuke," said Ino, smiling at the latter before disappearing off with her teammates. Sasuke sighed. "Come on, Sakura, we need to get moving. We've wasted 2 days already, and I know for a fact that a couple of teams are done already." Sakura nodded, determined to be a little more helpful than she had been, right, grinning at her sudden look. Sasuke turned and began walking towards the trees where Neji had disappeared. He wasn't too concerned about finding one more scroll, much less getting one. Finally here, the third exam. Upstream, no, Sasuke, Uteme, it was right here. The Uchiha crossed his arms, determined that if he had to argue all day he would. Nope, upstream Dobi. Right here, countered Naruto, equally determined. Sasuke shook his head, upstream, Naruto. Naruto narrowed his eyes and imitated Sasuke in crossing his arms. Nope, Teme, it's right here. Sasuke, beginning to get irritated, began to speak louder, upstream Naruto, shut up. Naruto and Sasuke jumped at Sakura's sudden exclamation. Both genin glanced at each other, before looking at Sakura, who, for some reason, seemed to suddenly tower over them. Sorry, Sakura-chan, stuttered Naruto, while inching backwards. Sasuke gently sidestepped, leaving Naruto to Sakura's wrath. The Uchiha winced at Naruto's yells and screams, which were surprisingly high-pitched, and watched Naruto, who was experiencing a bit of pain from being pounded by Sakura's onslaught of punches. When the kunoichi was finished, she dropped Naruto's bruised body into the water. HMPH. Now, Sasuke, she said, sweetly, making Sasuke's sweat drop. Let's go upstream, shall we? Sasuke shrugged, as Naruto surfaced. Fine, you guys go. But you'll be sorry. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Naruto's obsessive laughter was cut short, as Sakura beat him back into the water. Naruto. Shut up. When the blonde next resurfaced, he was dizzy, stumbling around before finally stopping next to Sasuke. Hee. Okay. Let's go. Sasuke shook his head, while Sakura glared at him. Unaware of the tense moment, Naruto began walking upstream. I told the Dobi it was upstream, whispered Sasuke to himself. Hearing him, Sakura wrapped her arms around him. Ah, just forget him, Sasuke-kun, and let's go together. Sasuke twitched, while Sakura smiled brightly. Damn, she always doing that, thought Sasuke, as he inconspicuously slipped away. Sakura continued to daydream, imagining that she was still holding Sasuke's arm. It wasn't until the two boys were 50 feet away did she suddenly snap her eyes open. Hey, she shouted, Sasuke-kun, come back. The Uchiha sighed as he turned around. Hey, wait up for Sakura, Dobi. It was at this moment, Kyuubi's presence floated into their heads. Hey, brats. I go get some shut-eye for a few seconds and I come back to mass confusion. Why are you guys going west, back towards the gate? Sasuke and Naruto exchanged a startled glance. West, they both thought, but that's the wrong way. At this moment, Sakura caught up to them, and noticing their confused looks, immediately got suspicious. What? Sasuke and Naruto smiled. Actually Sakura, we just realized the right direction was downstream. They braced themselves for Sakura's explosion, though it never came. Instead, the kunoichi narrowed her eyes and glanced at them suspiciously. Hey, you guys are doing that again. What's going on? Naruto jumped at Sakura's voice, and began to breathe heavily while sweating in guilt. What are you talking about, Sakura-chan? A vein bulged in Sakura's forehead, and she grabbed Naruto by the throat. You guys are doing that again. I can't explain it, but it's like you two can communicate through thoughts or something. Don't you remember yesterday? The two of you were arguing over directions, and suddenly, bang, you agreed on a totally different direction. Sasuke's sweat dropped, as his mind raced back one day. He remembered, oh yeah, we were trying to find the direction to the river, and then Kyuubi pointed us in the right direction. Hey, Teme. Do you think we should tell her? I mean, she doesn't look like she's going to let this go. No, Dobi, interrupted Sasuke. How do you think she'd take that information? No, but it's best if we keep that quiet. We already told Kakashi, and look how he took it. Tell you what, leave the talking to me. Sure, said Naruto, shrugging. Sasuke turned back to Sakura. It doesn't matter really, right Sakura, said Sasuke, throwing an arm around Sakura. Hee, right. Sasuke winked at Naruto, whose mouth was agape. Sasuke-kun, of course, said Sakura, suddenly throwing herself at Sasuke, who involuntarily tensed and stepped back, as Sakura's arms were around him. Naruto, seeing Sasuke's dilemma, proceeded to laughing, and Sasuke found the opportunity to escape. Hey, Sakura, the Dobi's laughing at me. Sakura took the hint and released Sasuke, and watched amusingly as the Uchiha threw Naruto into the water. Half-hour later, downstream, team, whined Naruto, as he pulled up 3 more fish. One in his mouth. That's already 6 fish. It's not exactly easy to move around in the water, you know, and then add the fact you have to grab them. Sasuke looked up from a junior version of Icha tactics, meant for young teens. Oh, okay. Why don't you flail around one more time? Then when the fish jump up, I'll help out and use my kunai, he said, before looking back down into his book. Before Naruto could come up with a reply, Sakura walked up to them. Sasuke-kun, I've finished setting up the sticks and kindling. Could you please light it with your Gokakyu fireball? Sasuke turned from Sakura to Naruto. Never mind, Dobi. Hurry and get dressed so we can eat. Naruto muttered something, while his face darkened, though he quickly leapt from the water to his towel. Sizzle, Sasuke lifted up a burned fish. Eat up, said Sasuke, we need to get moving. Since this is the 4th day already, that means we have less than 24 hours to get a scroll. A lot of teams are probably done already, said Naruto. Damn, Teme. Why can't we just go and get another scroll? It should be easy. What about Kabuto, you idiot? Just calm down until we meet up with him. Remember, we're supposed to follow the past as much as possible. Not that it really matter anymore, after all the screw-ups we've made, but still, it's time to get back on track again. Naruto didn't reply, and proceeded to sloppily eating a fish. On a normal day, Sakura may have reprimanded him for it, but she seemed to be deep in thought. "What's wrong, Sakura?" asked Sasuke, concernedly. "Well," began Sakura, pausing, "I'm kind of worried there might not be any more heaven scrolls left. I mean, the second exam is only due to last 5 days, and 4 have already elapsed, in other words 80% of the time. And within the forest, there are 26 teams of 3 competing, with only 13 each of a heaven scroll and earth scroll. Since both scrolls are needed, only 13 maximum teams can pass." Sasuke nodded, "Right, and since Orochimaru burned our original heaven scroll, which means the maximum amount of teams that can pass is automatically decreased to 12. Surprised at Sasuke's intelligence, Sakura nodded, "Yeah, and we also don't know if the other 25 scrolls survived or not. If one scroll is destroyed or rendered useless, then one scroll of the other type becomes useless too. So in other words, the next enemy we meet may be the last with a heaven scroll." Sasuke nodded, "That's true. But don't worry, Sakura," said Sasuke, who noticed the kunoichi's anxiety, "we shouldn't have a problem getting a heaven scroll. By tonight we'll have one. I guarantee it." Sakura glanced at Sasuke, uncertainly, but when she saw the grin on his face, she nodded, "Hi." Sasuke's eyes suddenly shifted to the right. "Relax, Naruto. If you attack him now, then it'll be trouble. You'll have your chance, but you have to wait, and besides, do you think you'll really be able to beat him without use of your ninjutsu, genjutsu, or kyuubi's attacks?" Naruto grunted. "Whatever. Taijutsu alone is enough, but whatever, get going then," said Naruto. "He doesn't look like he's coming out, so I'll just pretend to try and open the scroll." "Good idea, brat," said Kyuubi, who suddenly came into their minds. "I also did some searching and that rain ninja you met before is back." "Perfect. Remember, Naruto, you don't have access to your chakra right now, so if you pick a fight," replied Sasuke, standing looking at Sakura's confused face, "I'm getting some water." As soon as Sasuke went out of sight, Naruto sighed, "Damn, Teme, sealing my chakra, and Kyuubi's chakra. What's he playing at?" He then picked up the scroll with a chuckle. Hey, he said, whispering to Sakura. Sakura looked up at Naruto. "Naruto, what are you doing? There's another way to get a heaven scroll and we don't even have to throw a punch." Sakura blinked, trying to make sense of what she had just been told. How? Naruto chuckled, and dug into his bag. He pulled out 4 blank scrolls and let them drop to the ground. Sakura stared at them for a moment, before she realized what Naruto intended. "And no way." "Yes," said Naruto, mischievously, "this way." As Sakura gulped, Naruto began to thoroughly explain his plan. "If it's scrolls they want, I have a million of them. Ninjutsu manuals, recipes for poison, genjutsu and taijutsu instructions, blank scrolls for notes. You name it. A few brush strokes here, some decoration there, and one of these can pass for a heaven scroll in no time." Wait a minute," shouted Sakura, waving her arms. "Even if you could make the outside look the same, we have no idea what the inside of the scroll looks like, or what's written inside them. The minute they open it, we'll get busted." "Baka?" Naruto shrugged. "Well, usually these type of things have some kind of cryptic password written in them that doesn't make sense until both pieces are brought together. We probably need some kind of password to even enter the tower at the end of the exam." Sakura sighed, and dropped her head into her hand. "So what? We never saw the inside of the heaven scroll when we had it. So God knows what was inside. Face it, Naruto. It's no use trying to make a fake." Naruto, beginning to get a little frustrated, waved the earth scroll in front of Sakura. "So, what if we use what we have to deduce the contents then?" Naruto grinned and lifted up the earth scroll. "This earth scroll, in other words." "And no," began Sakura, stuttering, "don't even say it. It holds the secret, let's open it," said Naruto, as Sakura gulped in fear and curiosity. "Alright, I'm going to do it," said Naruto, slowly inching his hands toward the scroll. "No," yelled Sakura, punching Naruto in the face. "Baka, have you forgotten the rules? We were told never to look inside the scrolls. Not for any reason. Not until we reach the tower. We're in deep dung as it is," said Naruto, who seemed unfazed by Sakura's punch. "Why not just try?" Sakura's face softened, as she thought about the consequences and possible benefits. Fine," she said at last, "but if Sasuke-kun complains it wasn't my idea." Naruto smirked, "Sure." However, as Naruto began to slightly peel the scroll, Sakura's curiosity got the best of her, and she stood over Naruto's shoulder to watch. Hurry and open it." Naruto began to unroll the scroll slowly. "Alright, Kabuto, now, right on cue." Naruto felt a hand on his wrist. He also heard Sakura's eep and smirked. "It's you, Kabuto, right?" I'm surprised you remember me," replied Kabuto, "and I wouldn't do that if I were you." Kabuto was about to speak again, when Sakura yelled, "Sasuke-kun." "Kabuto, what are you doing here?" asked Sasuke, ignoring Sakura's call. Inwardly, Kabuto frowned. "So he's the Uchiha, is he? Something's not quite right about him. I was just stopping your teammates here from making a foolish mistake." Sasuke sighed. "Let me guess, Dobi. You tried to open the scroll. Naruto blinked at Sasuke, and then, remembering he should be acting sorry, dropped his head. Oops. I can't turn my back on you for 1 second, can I? Said Sasuke, shaking his head, but in any case, why are you wandering around by yourself? Kabuto? Not looking for a scroll, are you? Kabuto smirked. Actually, I got separated from my team, so I'm on my way to the tower to join up with them. And, we already have a set of scrolls, so if you were implying that I was trying to steal yours, you were wrong. Sasuke shrugged. I see, it wouldn't have been difficult, considering Naruto was entirely off guard. You could have just stolen it from him. Kabuto shrugged. True, but anyway, I need to be off. See ya. Kabuto turned to leave, but stopped when he felt the tips of 2 kunai on his back. Geez, they're fast, thought the sound spy. Sakura gasped. And Naruto, Sasuke-kun. What are you doing? So, we're in need of a heaven scroll, said Naruto. How about you give us yours? Yeah, agreed Sasuke, it makes searching so much easier. Kabuto didn't turn, but his eyes suddenly became serious. It's a good thing I don't have the scrolls on me, or this could have turned ugly. I was right, there's something not quite right with these two. I'll need to keep an eye on them. Kabuto chuckled. Hee, tough luck guys. I don't have the scrolls with me, they're with my teammates. Besides, said Kabuto, there's another way to get a scroll. Let me show you the path you should tread. Sakura blinked, while Naruto and Sasuke shared a knowing glance. Let's move while we discuss it, said Kabuto. His eyes shifting towards the rain ninja in the bushes. The smoke from your fire and the aroma of those fish you roasted can be smelled for quite a distance. By now, every wild animal or enemy in the area must be moving in on us. Right, agreed Sasuke, then let's go, he said, before leaping away. Naruto followed suit, with Sakura and Kabuto trailing them. Hey, Kabuto, said Sakura, as the group headed for the tower. Kabuto turned his head to regard the kunoichi. I was wondering, are there still even any enemies left this late? Kabuto blinked. Sure, lots of them. If you guys had been more alert, you would have noticed it, too? This time it was Sakura's turn to blink. What do you mean? It takes intelligence to win battles in territory like a jungle or forest, replied Kabuto, seriously, and do you know what the intelligent thing is to do? Mumbled Sakura, slowly, trying to stall for time, while her mind raced through ideas. Chuckling slightly, Kabuto decided to give a hint. We all share a common goal, right? The tower, shouted Sakura immediately. Kabuto nodded. Right, the tower in the center, remember? So, the closer we get to the end of the exam, the more people will be carrying scrolls to the finish line, making the tower and its vicinity the likeliest place to find them. Sakura grinned. Oh, I get it, you're talking about an ambush. We make our target someone who both scrolls are just the heaven scroll we need and take them away. Kabuto nodded slowly. Well, you got 1/3 of it right. Huh, what? There's a catch. Well, first of all, you won't be the only ones who've figured that out. Sasuke and Naruto grinned at each other. So, said Sakura, paling slightly, there's going to be other desperate ninjas setting snares for the unwary around that tower. Kabuto nodded, but those types aren't the only problem. This type of exam brings out another sort of enemy. I call them the collectors. Collectors? Asked Sakura. Yeah, replied Kabuto. Even while you're standing in front of the tower door, with both scrolls, don't drop your guard for a second. Because the collectors, they're the ones who may not be good enough to beat every team they find, so they try to get their hands on as many extra sets of scrolls as they can to buy safe passage from anyone they can't face or won't face fairly. I see, said Sakura, and they can also steal scrolls and keep them for ninja from their village that might not have fared as well. That sucks. Kabuto nodded, and then, some of them just want your life. Sasuke and Naruto's faces darkened, while Sakura's thoughts immediately jumped to Orochimaru. Why yeah. Kabuto noticed the sudden mood change, and stared at Sakura. Hey, you look a little pale, what's wrong? Sakura scratched her head hurriedly. Oh, it's nothing. Kabuto raised an eyebrow. Right. Well, anyway, as you can probably guess, most ruthless teams never make the mistake of getting complacent or letting their own guard down. Those guys are the deadliest and the worst. Yeah, thought Sakura, that's definitely true. So, is that why you tagged along with us? Asked Naruto. Safety in number age. You're vulnerable too. Kabuto's eyes gleamed behind his tinted glasses. Right. Night. Finally, said Sakura landing on a branch, wiping her brow, we're finally here. Yes, agreed Kabuto, we're in view of the tower. Here's where the fun really begins. The ninja were interrupted by a popping sound behind them. Kabuto, Sasuke, and Sakura whirled around with kunais drawn, but they were greeted by a gruesome sight. Dripping in a large and brown insect's blood, Naruto stared at them, emotionlessly. Sorry, he said shrugging, that thing's been bugging me. You know, Sasuke chuckled at Naruto's joke, while Sakura and Kabuto stared at the centipede. Wow, said Kabuto, adjusting his glasses for a better view. That's one giant centipede. Ew, moaned Sakura, that's totally gross. Come on, let's get going, said Sasuke, we're too exposed in this clearing. Kabuto nodded. he's right, and while we're at it, let's keep quiet from this point on. Our objective is to not announce our arrival to everyone in the area, so let's keep talking to a minimum from here on out. Naruto nodded, right, before following Sasuke into the trees. 1 hour later, groaned Sakura, as she fell on her knees. Sorry, I can't go on anymore. Something's odd, said Sasuke. No matter how far we move, the tower never seems to get any closer. Kabuto smirked. It seems we've already experienced someone's welcome party. Look, announced Naruto, pointing behind them. That should explain everything. The other shinobi turned and gaped at the sight. Well, began Kabuto slowly, this isn't good. No way, said Sakura, it's that bug, the one Naruto killed almost an hour ago. Looks like genjutsu, and he fell for it hook, line, and sinker, said Sasuke. HN. Sakura's head dropped and she groaned loudly. You've got to be kidding, right? Nope, said Kabuto. Sasuke's right. This looks like a genjutsu, alright. We've been very cautiously running around in circles. And undoubtedly being watched, finished Naruto, not to mention wearing ourselves out. Kabuto nodded. They wait for us to tire, and then move in and take us down. It's a standard trick. Sasuke inwardly grinned, almost unable to contain his excitement. So, they must realize our strength is fading. Yes, said Kabuto, failing to notice Sasuke's lack of anxiety or fear. They'll make their move soon. Sasuke smirked, as he detected a surge of chakra energy, right. As if on cue, figures began to emerge from the surrounding trees and branches. Sasuke Teme, you better leave these bastards to me. Don't even think of helping. Sasuke sighed. Just don't hurt yourself, Dobi. You haven't fully recovered from your last injuries, especially since I've locked away your chakra powers. You're like a normal human now. Looky what we've got here, said a rain ninja, Konoha Genin. Sasuke folded his arms as he quickly counted all the clones. Well, there are quite a few of them, yeah, not to mention they're all clones, said Kabuto. The rain Genin, overhearing their words, snickered, you're all trapped like rats. Ah, shut up, exclaimed Sakura throwing a kunai. The weapon punctured right through the clone's arm, and Sakura grinned. Huh, couldn't take it could you? She was soon surprised as the clone's whole arm turned to what looked like mud, before reassembling itself again. Huh, what the heck? What's going on? The kunoichi was about to charge forward, but Naruto gently held her back. Let me at them, Sakura. Sakura saw the angry look in Naruto's eyes, and she was immediately reminded of when Naruto had turned into a monster. But Naruto, your injuries, maybe, no, interrupted Naruto, who was now smiling. I'm alright now, just trust me. Sakura hesitated unsure what to say, when she felt a hand on her shoulder. Let him go, Sakura, if anyone can handle these guys, it's Naruto. Don't worry so much. Reassured, Sakura nodded, hi, as Naruto smirked and turned. Sakura grabbed his shoulder. You better kick their ass, Naruto, or else, she threatened. Naruto cringed. Why yes, Sakura-chan, he said slowly. He then turned to face the mass of clones. HMPH, this will be easy, nabbing a scroll from these guys. But first, let's see about these clones. As the genin readied himself, more clones began to materialize, causing him to sigh. Hey, Sasuke, I don't feel like doing this one at a time. Personally I find this too funny, there's no room for me to get angry. No, it wasn't Sasuke that interrupted but Kyuubi. No brat, repeated the fox sternly, we wait until Sasuke removes the seal. Naruto sighed mentally again, cursing his bad luck. Fine, whatever. Meanwhile, high in the treetops, Mubi and his team watched the scene below them. Just one kid, he can't be serious of taking on all the clones. Whatever, Mubi replied. Attack. At his word, the clones below sprung towards Naruto, who set himself into a stance. Sasuke smirked, good choice Naruto. As the clones approached, Naruto's arms seemed to vanish as they rapidly punched the mass of clones. What's that attack? Asked Kabuto, interested. Naruto calls it the bursting machine gun punch. He sends a barrage of rapid punches usually to drive back a large group of enemies, or in this case clones. Impressive, noted Kabuto, as he observed the clones slowly getting torn apart by the sheer force and speed of Naruto's attack. In the trees, Mubi clasped his hands together. Damn, looks like we need more numbers. Nah, said a sudden voice behind him, that made him freeze. You just need to get stronger. Mubi slowly turned, just in time to see a fist connect with his face, knocking him to the ground below. Naruto jumped down and stood over Mubi's unconscious body, grinning like mad. Ha! See that Sakura, I already got him. Naruto Yubaka, shouted Sakura, pointing above him, watch out. Naruto smirked, without turning, yeah, I know, I already got them. Above him, 2 small explosions went off, knocking the 2 remaining rain genin into nearby trees, unconscious. The remaining clones simultaneously vanished, leaving the small clearing as quiet as it was before the attack. Kabuto walked over and observed the bodies, taking in the damage. I see, exploding tags, right Naruto-kun? When did you place it on them? Right before I punched the guy here silly. replied Naruto, jerking his head towards Mubi. Oh wow, exclaimed Sakura. Look, it's a heaven scroll, she said, raising the scroll proudly. Sasuke folded his arms. Good work, Naruto. Thanks for helping out, Kabuto. Kabuto nodded. No, I should say good job to you guys. Well done indeed. Kabuto turned to nod towards Naruto, who was bouncing around the scroll, when he noticed the mark on the genin's neck. That mark, so that's why Naruto is only using taijutsu attacks. And yet, the fact that he is so well taught in the physical arts astounds me, when my records show he relies mostly on ninjutsu. Something wrong, Kabuto? Asked Sasuke, noticing his stares. Kabuto shook his head. Nah, but anyway, it's almost morning. We should head for the tower quickly, before somebody else comes along. Sasuke nodded. Right, Sakura, Naruto, come on, we're going now. Next morning, well, here's where I leave you guys, said Kabuto. Sakura nodded. Thanks for all your help. We wouldn't have done it without you. Kabuto nodded. No, you guys earned that scroll. The way you pulled through at the end was truly amazing, Naruto. Well, looks like my team's here, so I'll catch up with you later. As Kabuto walked away, Naruto exchanged a glance with Sasuke. Should I take him out, Teme? Sasuke sighed. Do I really need to answer that question? Come on, let's go in. Naruto groaned like a kid, before following his teammates through wars. Inside, the three Konoha shinobi found themselves in an empty room. There's no one here, noted Sakura. Sasuke folded his arms. Hey, look, said Naruto, pointing at a rather large scroll, posted on the wall. Both Sasuke and Sakura looked up, and the latter began reading. If qualities of heaven are your desire, acquire wisdom and knowledge to take your mind higher. If earthly qualities are what you lack, train your body in the fields and prepare to attack. When both heaven and earth are opened together, the path of peril will revert to the righteous path forever. This is the secret way that guides us from this place today. Okay, said Sakura, that doesn't make any sense. Is it referring to the scrolls, the heaven and earth scrolls? Yeah, agreed Sasuke. I think we should open both the scrolls at the same time. That should do it. Sakura nodded, and pulled both scrolls out. Gulping, she and Naruto unraveled them both. Huh, exclaimed Sakura, glancing at the figures. Human. Mankind. What the heck is this? At that moment, both scrolls began to let off smoke. Sakura, Naruto. That's a summoning scroll. Drop them, now. Without any delay, Naruto and Sakura flung the scrolls away, just as a loud poof could be heard, and a figure could be made out in the smoke. Who is it? Asked Sakura, slowly, backing up. Naruto and Sasuke both grinned, and whispered, Hey, sensei. When it cleared, Sakura gasped, Iruka-sensei. Iruka grinned, Hey kids. It's been a while, huh? Sakura, with her mouth agape, pointed at him. What? I don't understand. Iruka chuckled. You three look like you've been through a lot. Why are you popping out of scrolls, though? Asked Sakura. The kunoichi repeatedly looked back and forth from the scroll to Iruka, as if she did not believe what she was seeing. Hee, that scrolls was designed so that we Chunin could greet the applicants at the end of the second exam. It was just good luck that I got to be the messenger for the three of you. Messenger? Asked Sakura. Iruka nodded, pulling out a gold watch. Yeah, and look, you guys just made it with 5 minutes to spare. Made what? Asked Naruto. Iruka's smile broadened. You three have just passed the second part of the Chunin exams. With flying colors, I might add. This calls for a celebration. I wish I could take you all out for Ichiraku ramen, but, whoa! Before Iruka could finish, Naruto had dove onto his former sensei, giving him a tight hug. Ramen, 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 shouted Naruto, like a little child. Sasuke's sweat dropped, an adult, yet he still acts like a kid. I'll say, replied Kyuubi, who was chuckling slightly. Hey, Naruto, let me finish, yeah? Naruto stopped pounding on Iruka, and blinked, remembering where he was. The blonde genin released Iruka, and scratched his head. Oh, oops, sorry Iruka-sensei. Iruka chuckled. You haven't slowed down a bit, have you, Naruto? Naruto blinked, and quickly chuckled. Nope, sensei, I've gotten a lot stronger. Iruka smiled. Well, that's good to hear. Hey sensei, interrupted Sakura. I was wondering what you could tell us about that wall scroll. I didn't understand its contents. Iruka nodded. That is the directive set down by the third Hokage for all Chunin ninja. Directive? Questioned Sakura, while frowning. That's right, said Iruka. In the text, heaven refers to the mind, while earth refers to the human body. It's imperative you understand that part at least. Sakura nodded. I think I see now. If qualities of heaven are your desire, in other words, if you're not so smart academically, then acquire wisdom and knowledge and take your mind higher. Iruka genuinely smiled. Wow, Sakura, you're as sharp as ever. Good job. Yes, that's right. And if earthly qualities are what you lack, train your body in the fields and prepare to attack. And once you access both the qualities of heaven and earth, no mission, however dangerous, will be a wrong path for you. You'll be walking a safe path even in the face of the most perilous of missions, that's it. What about that blank space, Iruka-sensei? Asked Naruto, pointing to the space in between quotations. The word that goes there, began Iruka, picking up a scroll, is a description of what chunin should be. Pointing at the symbol on the scroll, Iruka said, the character that goes in between those quotations is the single character in the interior of the scrolls. Its meaning, Jin, means one person or all people. The test you all just underwent was designed to test a chunin hopeful's basic abilities. Chunin are the unit commander class, responsible for leading their teams. They can only do so by a combination of intelligence and strength. I can't emphasize it enough. Learn it, believe it from the bottom of your heart. Keep this directive foremost in your mind as you proceed to the next test. That's it, that's the message. Yes sir, saluted Naruto, who was grinning. Iruka smiled at Naruto's enthusiasm, though it soon turned to concern. You guys, about the third exam, don't overdo it. Especially you Naruto, hey, interrupted Naruto, frowning. Iruka looked up startled, to see Naruto, who was brimming with determination. I know you're going to say you're worried sensei, said Naruto, but the day I got this headband from you I stopped being a child. This headband is proof of my maturity and you gave it to me sensei. I'm a full-fledged shinobi now. Iruka smiled, my apologies Naruto. Flashback. If they can't pass, at least let me be the one to break the news to them. I know their skills better than anyone, shouted Iruka, desperately. Anko sighed, flipping through consent forms. If it means that much to you, fine then. But why be the bearer of bad news? Iruka shrugged, I really appreciate it though. Anko waved her hand, signaling he could leave, but you know Iruka, those kids are Kakashi's students right? I wouldn't count them out just yet. End flashback. Well Kakashi, mused Iruka, it seems after all, you know them better than I. Alright, follow me. You guys are among 7 teams that finished the second exam. Congratulations.